All right. Welcome, everybody.
All right. Welcome, everybody. All right. Welcome, everybody. All right. Welcome, everybody.
All right, a little echo there. All right, we got a couple people joining. Hello, Electric Buzz. Welcome this evening. Just went live a few seconds ago. B for Bear and welcome. Good evening. How is everybody doing tonight? You two guys are the first ones here, so welcome. How was everybody's week? It's been a good week, good weekend. Anything exciting going on for you guys? Probably shouldn't hide that up here. That should go down here. Awesome, awesome, very good. Well, cool. Anything new going on as far as your personal EDC carrying and anything like that? I have a few things we can talk about, but I'll wait till a few more folks show up. I can tell you it's been an exciting week. I did replace my screws on my Spyderco smock. I like the red screws that are on there, but they were, I don't know, they were kind of worn and didn't look really good. So I was able to get these off of Etsy, believe it or not. A guy called Screw For You. These fit really, really well and they look great. And I kind of like that cleaner look, all titanium look. Kind of a nice look for a smock. I like the red, but I don't know, it was kind of distracting, at least as far as I was concerned. Loving your mini practice, that's awesome. Oh, working all weekend. Okay, pushing electrons. All right. I'm assuming you work in electricity or something like that, so. I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I usually do Monday, and I was asked to do a live feed, and people seem to like the Mondays, and so I picked that. And I don't know if there's an etiquette or a sign up sheet somewhere I was supposed to sign up for a time slot. If there is, I don't know about it. I'm too small of a channel for that, so I don't know much about that. Nuclear power. Well, that's a good thing. You know, that's one of the cleanest forms of electricity. All things being equal in how it's done. So yeah, I'm not trying to compete, by the way, with Knifefast. He's obviously been around much longer than I have, so I'm a little guy. So I appreciate anybody that can join. Hello, Lonnie. Welcome this evening. We're just doing a live stream. Going to talk knives. I was requested to kind of try to see about making this a little more regular. People seem to enjoy it, so I'm all for it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy talking knives. I could talk about knives all night long, so I thought it would be fun for those of us who want to talk knives and talk about things relating to knives, or you know, maybe your collection of knives or things you've done with your knives and your knife journey. I can tell you mine is still developing and growing and maturing for sure. There's so much that I have yet to learn and to know about knives. I did have one that I was hoping, Herman Miller coil line operator. Okay. You know, Herman Miller, I believe, is also the name of a knife company too. I think the Hermans. I thought they were Herman Miller. No, maybe I know there's the Hermans, but anyways. Oh, okay. Scott N. I don't know who that is. I guess I would need to find out who that is. Is there any way you could email me? Maybe that, because I'm new to this, so I was recently added to the Apex pass around, so that was cool. That's about as much exposure as I have. I'm probably not your typical knife community kind of person. I'm a little nerdy, so I don't know. I think I fall outside the realm of some of the different channels, but that's okay. There's lots of room for nerds and non-nerds alike, right? I do have an Instagram. It's exactly the same. Rob's underscore nerdy underscore knives right here. I even have it right here on my little card. It's follow me on Instagram at Rob's underscore nerdy underscore knives. Hello, Michael. Welcome. How are you this evening? We were just kind of chatting. We're going to talk knives tonight, and at the request of several people, so I shot for a Monday night, and hoping this is a good time for everybody. I just found out, I guess there's actually a sign up list or something for that. So hopefully I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. And if I am, I do apologize if any of the other channels see this. Not my intention. I'm a newbie here, so I appreciate everybody helping me and educating me. So I'm good with that. I am just here because I like knives, honestly. I really enjoy collecting knives. I enjoy the science and the aesthetics and the engineering about knives. And I do enjoy talking about the details. All of those things I think are awesome. So for me at least, they are very enjoyable things to get into. Hey, how's the feed? Is it clear or is it a little fuzzy? Because I'm looking and seeing it looks like it's a little fuzzy on my end here. I just want to make sure that's the case. I don't want that to be the case as well for everybody else. It's buffering a lot. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I have one gigabit connection speeds at home, so it should be pretty good. I don't know exactly what's going on there. I guess I could attempt to jump off my Wi-Fi and jump on. So what I'm going to do is it's going to be on the cellular, but let's see if we can do that and see if that gets a little better connection. All right, looks like I'm back, and it looks like it's a little bit better. All right, so we restarted. Made sure maybe I was on 2.4 gigahertz instead of the 5 gigahertz for the Wi-Fi. So that looks like it's a little bit better. Is that better for everybody else, or getting better? All right. Oh, it looks good now. All right, you can read the card. Awesome. Great, great, great. Well, cool. Well, welcome everybody. We got 8 here, so that's really cool. We got Michael, we got Luke. Welcome, Luke. Well, I appreciate that, Luke. Thank you. A little fuzzy, but looks like it's getting better. You can read the cards, so that's good. It looks like I got a little better connection. Hopefully it'll continue to improve. If not, I will, worst case is for next live stream, I will be sure to restart my router before I kick off the live stream. That's probably a good thing to do. Kind of make sure any cached memory, even on a Linux or Unix sort of application, there's still what you can call. I'm getting nerdy here, so forgive me, but call garbage collection, right? In the way it handles memory and drops memory, it's not always perfect. Microsoft is really bad, but Linux and Unix is supposed to be really good. It's not perfect. That's still helpful at times to do a restart. It's kind of the old Dell fix, right? Did you restart your computer? A lot of times that does fix things, right? So what's everybody carrying tonight? I'm curious. What do you all have what were you all carrying today, this weekend, or this evening? Anybody? I know what I was carrying today. I was carrying my whippersnapper with my copper infused fat carbon scales, S90V steel, the Warncliffe blade. This is a sick little blade. I really, really, really like this thing. It's a lot of fun. And I was also carrying this weekend, of course, carrying my Dark Bolt. That's a kind of a new knife. This is made by We OEM, but it's made by Dark Bolt. And what it has this attachment to the liner lock here, so like a traditional liner lock. But you can also push this button, so it's like a button liner lock. So that's kind of cool. I just had a couple of videos on that and tuning it, and part of the tuning video was so that you could see how it came apart and you could kind of see what the inner workings were. Yeah, I can understand that electric buzz. Switching to Linux is it's pretty stable. I mean, there's the plus and negatives, right? You know, you get extra things with a more common software, but you also depends on who's writing it and who's managing it. It's not always going to be as efficient, right? A drop Gavco nurse. Okay, with the flipper delete, finger choil by J Dizzle. Oh, okay, so he puts in the like the finger choils, and did he do the delete as well? Like I assume that was the flipper was just cut away and it has just nice finger choil, sort of like you know, just some of the knives that come with it standard, but it was put in, right? That's cool. Cold steel, air light, and a Workhorse TS10 flashlight. Okay, a Workhorse TS10 flashlight. Yeah, I don't know that one. I'm kind of, you know, when it comes to flashlight, I feel like the I don't know. You know how the sometimes people talk about the folks who carry the buck knives. You know, all you need is a buck 110, nothing else. Well, I mean, I carry a Streamlight. Now I have two different Streamlights, but mine is a Streamlight ProTac 2LX. It's rechargeable, as you can see. It's well used and well loved and banged up and been used quite a bit for over the years. So that's my flashlight I normally carry. Otherwise, I have a backup flashlight. It's a little bigger, but when I do want it, it's my it's the ProTech HLX. So this is 1,000 lumens, super bright, and this one's only 500 lumens. But you know, it does the job. I like Streamlight. Both of these variants right here, these flashlights, they're both made in the USA. So I kind of like that. I think that's kind of cool. Oh, okay. So he got the drop commercial version, and he basically made it like a custom version. That's cool. That's really cool. So that Gavco, I really like my Hi-Fin. It's my first experience with Gavco, but it's been really good. You know, I've heard some people love Gavco and some people don't, but this was a lot of fun. This is very ergonomic. It fits really well. So I'm assuming Gavco is similar in his design, and what you have is not necessarily exactly like this, but it's that artistic touch, if you will. Like this is a Hi-Fin, obviously made after the fish with the Hi-Fin. So I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, Streamlights are good. I like them. What is it? Surefire? No, what is it? What's the other one? Is it? We have Streamlight and Surefire, I think, is the other one. That's the really high end. A lot of police officers, I believe, carry that. It's a really nice one. Those are all made in the USA, but they're also really expensive. But you know, if you need something super reliable, especially if you're in like a police officer or you know combat or something, that is definitely a tool you would want to spend a little money on to make sure it's working when you need it. How about everybody else? What's everybody else carrying? I see we've got 10 here, so I'm just kind of curious. Anybody else had anything in their pocket this week? Hey, Hungry Bird, welcome. Good evening. While working in the garage. Yeah, I did that the other day. We had that tornado and massive hail here. I've had to repair a few things around the house. We're going to have to replace a couple of windows. And I think my wife's car is going to be probably totaled. We'll see what the insurance says. It's pretty bad. Dwayne, welcome. Welcome. I'm doing well. And how about yourself? How are you? I know Mondays are always, you know, hit or miss, right? You can have Monday can be kind of a drudgery sort of thing to get to, but it can also be, you know, once you get through Monday, it can be not so bad. You know, hey, you made it through, right? So that's at least for me. got a big project I've been working on, so after I get off of this, I'm gonna have to probably get right back to work. But oh well, the joy of configuration and writing code. So, what about all the new folks that joined? What have you all been carrying? A couple of folks have kind of given their insights to what they've been carrying. Hey, Rocky, welcome, welcome. Hey, I appreciate that. It was pretty bad. There was a I was outside videoing the the uh, the storm, and you could see the really cloud formation, the circulation, and then the wind was blowing in my face, but I could see it spinning in circles in front of me, away from me, and it was like a really wide circle. And then the hail started coming, and they were golf ball size hails at first. And so I got my car in the garage, and we were like, okay, and then it got really bad. The wind started picking up really bad, and then the hail started coming down, and they were literally baseball size. So um, I want to say, like, I have these Wea screwdrivers. These would be about the average size of the hail. A lot of them were even larger than this. They would probably be closer to, let me see if I can get this, like a pair of, you know, even bigger than this, even bigger than iPods Pro or something like that. They were huge. They were huge. I would say a couple of them were at least as wide as the high fin. I mean, it was as my mini Malice here. So it, I have lots of dents that I had to fix my compressor. It had dents in all the wire mesh. I had to bend that out. Fortunately, a lot of the coils weren't damaged and it didn't hit the blade, so that was good. And the Freon line, it was padded enough that it didn't get damaged, so that was good. Just have to replace two windows, but they are the ones with the xenon gas in them, so I have to get those professionally installed and pay somebody for that because it's up in the second story, and yeah, I don't. It's not a quick, easy fix, at least for me. I don't really have a ladder to get up there. Yes, the whippersnapper is phenomenal. I gotta admit, it is just beautiful in every way. There's so many accoutrements or refined refined touches on this thing. I have to admit, from the chamfering and softening of all the corners to all the little details. I mean, when I look at this more closely, I get kind of blown away. Even the hand polished satin finish. I don't know if you can see that, but sometimes when you get that finish, it there is usually a little inconsistency. Like, I think this is great. This is really wonderful, but you can still see there's some deviations between here. I mean, this is not bad, right? This is, I think, really nice. But when you look at this, there's just, I don't know, just a lot of little things that I seem to notice. Kind of like when I got the Makani, I think they did a really fantastic job on the hand satin finish on this one. This one is just phenomenal. It's a little dirty, sorry. And I think I scratched it. Well, of course I did. So, but this was beautiful, right? But you can still see it's not, not perfect. And I get it. I get it. Grilling on the mobile. All right. The Civivi Backlash. Cool, cool. I was recently had the Civivi Elementum, the version 2 with the button lock and the flipper. That's a pretty cool little knife. There's knives that I love to give away. For instance, the Pyrite is a knife I've given away. The Largo I've given away. The QSP Mini Penguin, the regular Penguin I've given away as gifts. But that Civivi Elementum version 2 with the button lock, I mean, that's a contender as far as I'm concerned. It fits a niche for people and people I know of a knife that they would want and how it fits. So that one just seems really cool. But, I also like a lot of Wii knives too. I mean, at least some of the Wii knives. I shouldn't say all of them, but there's some of them I really like. Yeah, it was pretty bad. If you saw it on the news, you probably most everybody who saw it probably saw the bull that was running across, and they were going into the pools, and the hail was hitting the pool, and it was literally splashing. It was that bad. It was insane. I think 50% of all the homes in our neighborhood are getting their roofs replaced. Everybody who had solar panels, they're all getting them replaced. They were all shattered. So many windshields blown out. My wife's windshield was blown out. She's got probably several hundred dents in her car. Some of them are 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep. I mean, concave, totally, not just like a little tap. I'm talking like a big, big, big dent. It's ridiculous. All right, so somebody carried the Spyderco Delica 4. Cool. Now, Hungry Bird, did you carry one of those fancy Nick Shabazz version or just a regular, I can use it for anything kind of the Delica? Because sometimes, Nick Shabazz, he has some fancy ones. He has those Damasteel versions, and um, I don't think Nick Shabazz ever carries a knife that's not fancy. At least what I've seen. I'm sure he has some inexpensive ones. What does he call that green knife that is example of the worst knife ever? Is that the Green Monster or something? I don't know. I enjoy that. Yes, it is. Is Olamic Custom Whippersnapper. Yes, indeed, and it's the Wharncliffe version. It's not the sheep's foot. I prefer the Wharncliffe. This to me is a little more my aesthetic. I know some people who love the sheep's foot, and that's totally cool if that's your aesthetic. That's a big, broad blade. I know well, it's not the Bellamy, but Vosteed has one that's the Nightshade, I think it's called. It has that kind of big belly blade. I mean, it's a very functional blade for things that you need to do. So, let's see here. Oh, after people chime in, what language are you writing in? Well, so I know Java, yeah, C plus. No, a lot of the stuff that I write in, it's going to be more, it's more Apache. So we're looking at free marker code that we write in. We write some things in, obviously PL SQL. We do a lot of packages and procedures and stored procedures that calls up on the database. So that's really more of an application sort of a calls. The forms are going to be, they're Java based, but they're really HTML5. So it's kind of a standard front end, but we have a vendor managed application, so we really write the interfaces and stuff. So it's like going to be JBoss and free marker code, and it's going to be HTML, and XML, things like that. So Perl probably, but I don't really get into the form because we outsource that, and security wise, that's an area that you have to go through a lot of layers for security, and it's better to have vendor manage that because it's easier to control, especially when you have the back end you can handle a little better. Python, yeah, Python's that's a classical language for, not classical, I shouldn't say classical like old, but a good strong language. I know a lot of people who use that in lieu of maybe the old JavaScript and the old Java and stuff. Or I guess you could use it in conjunction depending on your application and the layers you have built in. So anyways, don't want to get too nerdy here. We're going to lose everybody there. Everyone's going to fall asleep and then, or zombify here or something, right? I think the satin finish on the Whippersnapper looks laser etched or something. Seems impossible to be done by belt. Yeah, I can tell you that this is beautiful. I mean, it's almost reflective. It definitely has to be hand satin finished. Now, I know the guy who designed this, I need to look him up, but he's a Russian guy who originally was hired for his microscopic things that he would do, the etching that he would do, the designs he would write, and then he developed this and another knife. And this is the version 2 with the bolster lock, which I really feel is by far so much better. I don't know. I really like that. So you were on Virginia Beach. You had a major tornado there yesterday. Ooh. Okay. Were you near the tornado? Truth be told, welcome, by the way. Dave C., welcome. I don't think I said hello yet. I'm so sorry. Yeah, the Elementum being the EDC. Yeah, I think so. I like the bug out, and I do have a bug out. I have one bug out that's still one of my favorites as far as bug outs, and now it's the 535-4 with the aluminum milled scales. I really like this now. I like this pattern, and I'm sure the Flytanium or some other titanium scales would be great. If I hadn't gotten this, I would probably have done the same scales of the Unlock composites that I have on my Baby Banter and my Banter. because he makes scales too, and I bet those would be amazing. But I've already got this, and I don't see a reason to change this out because I really enjoy this. And so this is satisfies my bug out desire enough. So I'll just say that. Yeah, that's what I heard. I think they get them from Italy, and then they assemble it here in the U.S. Now, this is CPM S90V, so it's Crucible metal. So they obviously get the steel from the United States from Crucible, and then it gets sent over there. But my understanding is that the heat treat is pretty decent on here. I mean, Italy has been known for not being super great on their heat treat, but I mean, this is a higher end type of blade, so I can't complain. I can tell you that, as typical with S90V steel, it took a while to strop. When I was stropping this to kind of get that nice, really, I mean, I like to have the crazy sharp edge. I like to have that on a blade. It took a long time to get that because when it first came, it was sharp. It wasn't razor sharp. I mean, it was close to razor sharp. I got it to razor sharp. Now we're at crazy sharp, and I like to have that kind of edge regularly on my knives. So I'm a little OCD, I guess, about that. Yeah, I've wondered too. This is not one of those knives that I'm going to send off to check the heat treat because it's done so well that, and I can tell you my experience with the blade and the steel has been really good, and it is S90V, so it's a harder steel. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I haven't lost the edge or rolled the blade or anything, and I do carry this, by the way. I do carry this, and I do cut things with it, so I have no problem doing that. Yeah, the blade is thick. There's no question. But I will tell you, it comes out to a nice thin edge. For a thick blade, here, if you didn't know, let's see if we can get a nice close up here. Can we get that? Uh, it is, but it comes down to a very thin edge, and it's got a pretty long edge on there too. You can see that. Let's see if we can get that. So it's a nice long edge. It's a very usable edge for the thickness. I think they did a really good job. Sometimes, you can have a really thick edge and it can be a very short edge, which means the angle is like 25, 30 degrees, and sometimes that's not a great slicer. I think this is about 20 to 18 degrees. That's what I'm going to guess. At least it feels like it, and but it works really well. So you used your Dama steel? Yeah, I've used Dama steel too. I mean, I can tell you that Dama steel feels like, as far as performance, I feel like it's equivalent to 154 CM, at least for me. It strops up really well. It sharpens well. It keeps the edge, I think, fairly well. I mean, it's not going to be perfectly corrosion resistant, but their stuff is really great. I had to reprofile this, but this edge has been fantastic and it's retained really well. So I like using Dama steel. I mean, I'm not going to go and beat on wooden logs and go be a bushcrafting with it, but I'll cut boxes and stuff certainly. Yeah, the footage of some of those tornadoes, and we actually had two confirmed tornadoes that hit down in the area. We had a major rotation. If the supercell had formed just right, it could have been probably half mile to a mile wide, and it would have been over our house. So it could have been really bad. I mean, we were inside the middle of the two-story house underneath our staircase where the most frame buildup is in the house, probably the safest area. And we had all the animals in there, and we were all told the kids to be covered with blankets, and I laid on top of them just to make sure in case anything came down. At one point, I literally felt the house shaking, and you could hear your ears pop. So we were close to, it could have been a lot worse, I'll just say. So I'm thankful it wasn't. Yeah, I have too, and I've really wanted one. I will tell you, there's a particular person here in our chat who helped me, make that decision. A particular gentleman named Rocky, talking about his, and then he sent me a picture and showed me, or the link. I think one evening we were showing the links to DLT trading, and I was like, oh wow. And I'd heard things about it, but there's not a lot of reviews on this knife, which is I find interesting. The most reviews are going to be version 1. It's a frame lock without the bolster. There's not a whole lot out there. I really tried looking around. I think I only saw 1 or 2 reviews on this, at least the version 2. So I feel like anything I'm going to publish on this is going to be, there's not a lot of content, and I have no problem talking about it and sharing my experience with this knife and make other people, think about it if they're considering it. I can tell you, it's all positive. It is extremely positive. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Italy cooks everything al dente. Well, I do know, yeah, their M90 is notoriously for not being heat treated to 61, 62. You really want M390 should be minimally 61, right? 60 is kind of okay. 59 is not great. 58 is, ugh. 57, no, no. 58 I wouldn't even be happy with. That's why, like, for instance, I know the CPM 20 for these guys. I knew that the risk I was getting when I got the black, this is black PVD, or it's black sand, black stone washed. It's not PVD and it's not DLC, as far as what I read, and at least what I remember. I don't know if it's, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows. I don't think it was DLC and I don't think it's PVD. But I do know that when you do this with Wii, you're in the range of 58 to 60 at best with this, right? And so there's a chance you can get a 58 CPM 20 CV steel, which is not great. It's kind of like M390. You don't want it at 58. That's why I typically, when I get those, I typically get the Wii knives. Like even the Trogon here. This one is again black PV. It's supposed to be black, what they call it, black stone washed, and it's not PVD. That's what I read, but I could be wrong. But I know that if you get the Makani here, this is you have a better chance, 59 to 61. And so far, I've been very fortunate. I can tell you when I leather strop, I can kind of tell if it's like a super soft steel. I've had a few that are really soft because when you strop them, I mean, they strop up really, really fast, right? If you have like if you lose the edge and you strop them and they strop super, super fast, I think to me, that's the indication. I think the steel is a little soft and a little underperforming, But RWL34 is pretty decent indeed. I have it, matter of fact, on the iMamba, and the Arnaud Bernard brothers do a really good job with that. This is really nice, and the nice thing about RWL34, it can polish up really nicely too. If you can see that, it gets a semi-polished blade finish, which is really nice. This is also a hollow grind, by the way, in the iMamba. Really like that. Yeah, so the sheep's foot is definitely going to be slicier than the Warney. There's no question. I agree. You're going to have a big belly on that blade for sure. So that would be equivalent to, you know, getting a much bigger belly and a blade, what have you, on there for sure. No question. But for my purposes of EDC, I like a more precision kind of blade like this. This almost looks a little bit, when you do this, it almost looks like a razor, like you could shave with this, right? Like the traditional razors when they used to shave kind of thing. And you can almost do a Spidey flick like that too. So the Capara is really cool. It's really cool. If you guys didn't know, this is a really, really nice little knife here. The designer on this one is, I don't carry this knife. I just kept it at the desk. This is on loan to me by a particular gentleman here in our chat, and I hope you don't mind if I mention it, Rocky, but he was kind enough to let me borrow this for a review, and so I'm really excited. I'm just smudging it. Let me just wipe that off. But really, really nice. What I like too about this particular one, this carbon fiber, typically when you get like the smock that I got, it was the twill peel ply or ply peel, whatever, layer on top of G10. This is true carbon fiber all the way through, and it's a really nice. I want to say it's a twill or mesh. It's probably more of a mesh carbon fiber here. It looks a little marbleized, but really, really nice. I like that a lot. So. Oh, you did? Wow. That's crazy. I was just reading about I believe Rocky was talking about the front row of mile and a half NATO that took out Halem, New England, or Nebraska? Halem, Nebraska. Oh, so it was like one of those like town destroyer kind of ones. Wow. I know you didn't do it, Rocky. I get it. I get it. But you didn't. Allowed me to understand the quality of it and to appreciate it better. Right? How about that? Um, you will get buried by my whippersnapper. Or you will get buried with your whippersnapper. Yeah. The one, okay, so if you don't know, Rocky has a whippersnapper. And if you don't mind me sharing, because you shared the link last time, so I assume it's okay. It is probably, when I saw it, I couldn't really say the words. It's in Domasteel, and it's not just your traditional. Like this is a beautiful Domasteel, right? This is a pretty basic design for Domasteel for them, but they have some really fantastic versions and variants of Domasteel, and some of them are way more expensive because they're way more involved. And the one that he has on his Domasteel is not only the blade, but it's also the scales. So it's Domasteel here, okay? The blade is Domasteel, and then it's zirconium inlay. So it's not just titanium, it's zirconium. And then it has their zirconium jeweled insert, which is just ridiculously nice. Uh, yeah, that is definitely when you're looking at a really high-end knife. I've told my sons when I retire, they could all get together, and they could all pool their funds when they're working and everything, buy their dad a retirement present. They should buy me a nice knife. It used to be I said I need a Sher Goroff, but now I don't know, maybe a Herman, maybe maybe a nicer whippersnapper. I don't know. There's a lot of choices out there. That's cool. Yeah, there is a lot to say. One thing that I don't know if you guys know, but what really blew me away is typically when you have, I'm going to show you real quick here. Typically, I don't know if we can see this, but you'll see a black ceramic ball in there. And that's not a steel, sometimes it's a steel ball, but it's a black ceramic ball, which is a different type of ceramic. It's supposed to be, I believe the black ceramic ball is supposed to be a little harder, closer to the steel properties. But this one actually has the porcelain ceramic ball in there. What that does now, it makes it just, I think, just a little smoother. It gives you better tolerances as far as the spherical tolerances being perfectly diameter width being very constant any angle that you're at. And also it also has a ramp. It has a ramp on the actual tang of the blade. Let's see if we can see it over here. Yeah, I think I can show you right there. If not, let me get the flashlight. So let's see if we can see that. Can you guys see the little ramp right there? So there's a little ramp where the ball actually goes over, and when it goes up like that, it literally makes it just a very smooth transition. Typically, you have to, the ball has to go over a very flat surface. It comes up like the ball will come up to the side, then it has to travel over that. But this one has a ramp, so it just slides up, which is really nice. And that again is another one of those things that allows it just to have that beautiful buttery smoothness. I will tell you that my Mamba is very close to that as well. It also has a ramp on there as well, and it's just very smooth as well. And when it closes, it has that super slow kind of gliding closing of the action. And it's hard to describe because people, some people will tell you that, and I don't know where y'all stand, but some people will tell you, well, how smooth it is all on the detent pressure. There's some truth to that. Yes, it can definitely improve the action, but what makes it absolutely smooth is how well the tolerances are when they cut and polish the blade, how well the tolerances are when they set the ceramic ball. And how well the tolerances are when they do the cutout for where the washers fit in inside the blade and inside the handles. If all those tolerances are very tight and then the ceramic balls or the cage washed bearings are very tight, then you get a very smooth action. There's no grittiness, there's no bumpiness, if you will. You can feel that at times, you can almost hear it at times, on some really inexpensive knives, you're going to hear that more often because that costs money, costs extra money to make that stand out. You're not going to find that on cheaper knives because they have to save costs somewhere. For instance, I had the what is the one that keeps dropping? It's hard to get a hold of. I actually owned one of them. I can't remember the name. He drops certain versions of it. I'm sorry, it's gonna come to me, but it's a great quality knife for the money that you pay. It really is great value, but it does have that action. It's not super smooth, and to me, I don't know. I like that, and that's worth a little extra for me. Oh, you drove past the hurricane? Is that what I mean, the tornado? Sorry. You know, I will tell you something about the tornado. I kept going out looking because I thought if it's like an F3 or an F4 or an F5 and it's coming toward us, we're not staying. Um, I lived outside of Austin where the Gerald tornado hit back in 1998 or 97 or 98. I think it was 97. The Gerald tornado hit, and I lived in Austin. It actually hit on my birthday, and when it did, it was Gerald had been hit once already with one tornado, and houses just disappeared. And people built basements, which is unusual in Texas because you have to dig into limestone to create a basement. So it's a big deal to get a basement in your house. But for some people, it was worth the extra money, right? But there were people who didn't have basements and they stayed in their house with the Gerald tornado. And when they came back, all that was left was their like foundation slab. No one could find the people. They were gone. They were gone. And there were also like 50, 60 dump trucks in the city of Jarrow. They could only find like 13 or 20 of them, 13 or 15, maybe 18 of them. Then they can only find parts for a few more of them embedded into the ground. The rest of them were gone. And people found later on, when farmers would be tilling their soil, they would be big chunks of the steel that would be literally impaled into the ground that would be 4 or 5 feet deep into the ground. There's some horrible stories about. I had friends who were EMTs that came in, just really stories we can't talk about here because YouTube would probably censor it. But it's not good. It's very sad. So because I knew about that tornado, because I knew what happened there, I was not gonna. We were not gonna hang around if it was a really really bad tornado. We were gonna leave, no questions asked. A Rockstead, yeah, I've seen those Rockstead, and now I believe those are on washers, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like Spartan blades. A lot of theirs are on washers, but I hear it's just phenomenal. Now it is what I'm told is it's a slow roll type of knife. It's kind of like a Chris Reeve knife. If you like that slow roll, definitely that steel and that concave grind that they have on there is just really ridiculous. It's supposed to be phenomenal. That's what I've heard. So I don't know. I've not handled a Rockstead. I've handled Shigorovs. I've handled a bunch of different other knives, but I've not handled a Rockstead. But it is supposed to be pretty phenomenal, and everybody who has one loves it. So, and it's a knife you're supposed to be able to use as a user. You guys watch the Dutch Brothers or whatever that show where they took the Rockstead and they shot it and they did all sorts of things, and the Rockstead survived. It was the most insane video I've ever seen, and they had not expected. I mean, bullets literally bounced off of it, which is unusual, I guess. The only other knife that I think that did that was the MagnaCut version that they had. So, Rocky, may I ask, do you have a Rockstead, or have you had a Rockstead before? Or have you at least handled a Rockstead? That's the one reason why I would like to go to Blade Show. Hey, me with knives, welcome, welcome. We are just chatting. We're just talking knives. We're just having a good time and talking knives. So welcome. I was requested to do a Monday live stream, and here we are. And people really seem to like it. So here we are. Yeah, the Dutch bushcraft knives. I like that. I like those guys. Those guys are hilarious. They are. They can be a little raw for some people, but I like them. I like them. I'm originally Danish, so I can relate to those guys. and they have a really rational view of knives. I think they really would like to see their knife laws change a bit. Unfortunately, I think they're dealing with some laws that are more restrictive, which could impact their show. Hopefully not. I would love to go to the Atlanta Blade Show, but that is like, I think 6, 7 hours away, maybe more. I'd have to look it up. But I would like to go, but I don't think I can make it. I've just got too many commitments and things. I really, really should have made it to the Texas Blade Show. That would have been that would have made the most sense. But I didn't make that one, which is really kind of a bummer for me. But it happens, I guess. The thing about going to the Blade Show, I think for me personally, and I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, what makes Blade Show a little challenging is that I know I could get myself in a lot of trouble going there because I would probably find more things that I would like than I should. I'd probably spend more money than I have, and I'd probably have more knives leaving than I had going. And then I want to make sure I can come home and still sleep in my bed. I don't want my wife mad at me. And that was my worry, one. The other thing is, I'm a little itty bitty YouTuber, a small channel. And I didn't want to go in there because I wanted to go and experience knives, right? And I didn't want to feel like I was trying to, hey, I'm a YouTuber. I just wanted to go and do the knives. And I don't know anything about it. So honestly, I'm a noob. I admit it. I'm a noob when it comes to things like that. So I would probably come in there, with my eyes you know, like a deer in headlights or something, just looking at all those knives. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know if I could touch the knives. I would be more in awe. Kind of like my wife. She gets really overwhelmed when she runs into superstars. She kind of freezes and doesn't know what to do, and she's done that quite a few times. I'm the kind of guy that I probably don't even know that they're superstars, and I just keep talking to them like they're nobodies, and I don't even realize it. It's happened to me a few times. I used to travel a lot and fly a lot, and I would sit next to somebody, and I didn't know that they were somebody famous. We'd just be talking. I remember one time there was one guy. He used to be that guy for WWF wrestling. He goes WWF. That voice. I sat next to him. It was years ago, and he's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm gonna sleep. I'm like, okay. So I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't really care, and I put on my headphones, and I think he kind of got annoyed that I wasn't enthralled or wanted to know more about him, and so he started talking to me, and he just kept talking to me and kept talking to me, and finally he felt like he had to share what he did, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm not really into wrestling, and so I didn't know. I told some friends who were really into wrestling, and they thought it was really cool. But again, my claim to fame is I know someone who knows someone, but if I ran into someone, I would never know. I wouldn't even know who they were, and that's kind of a bummer. But I did that when I was getting an oil change in Ahwatukee, which is outside of Phoenix. There was a guy named Tuttles, or I think his nickname was Tuttles. He was with he used to be with the St. Louis Cardinals, but then he transferred when they went out to be the Phoenix Cardinals, the football team. He was an all-pro football player for like 12, 15 years, super famous. No idea who he was. I was getting an oil change at the same place he was, sat down. We were just sitting there, and I was kind of reading, and he's like, hey, what are you reading? We started talking and just chit-chatting, and he was a big guy. So, I knew he was a big guy. But I didn't really, put it together. But we were just chatting, and he started talking about kids and everything, and he's like, oh yeah, I used to play football. I goes, oh yeah, I played football in high school too, and like yeah, hey, we both play football. Like that's cool. Something we can relate to. And then he goes, yeah, I also played a little professional. I was like, oh, did you? That's cool. Did you play with the Cardinals there, the Phoenix? He was like, yeah, I did. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Hey, did you enjoy it? Well, I had a few injuries. He had a lot of scars on his ankles and the knees because he was wearing shorts, and I was like, wow. So anyway, we talked for a good 35 minutes because he had a lot of work done on his car. And so when he went up to check out, like all the people up there, they were all just around him and talking to him and just overwhelmed by him. And of course, when they pulled out his car, he had this Cadillac. Yeah, it was a Cadillac that was it was a really souped up black Cadillac. I mean, it was beautiful. And it's probably one of those Cadillacs I'm going to guess was worth 150,000 if not, because it had so many really high end, you could tell this was a very nice Cadillac. I didn't know who he was. And when I went up to check out, they were all like, I can't believe you're talking to him. He never talks to anybody. I'm like, I don't know who he is. Who is he? And then they explained it to me, and I was like, oh, that's why we were talking about football. I just talked to him like, oh yeah, I played football too. It's kind of funny. That's a funny story. I think it's a funny story at least. So if you're famous and you want to be, you want someone to oogle all over you, don't talk to me because I'll probably won't even know it. But if you're famous and you want someone just to talk to you because they have no idea who you are, hey, talk to me. I'll probably talk with you all day long. That was a long story. I don't know if you guys wanted to hear that, but I just thought I'd share that. I think it was kind of funny. Yeah, I'd hate being famous like that too because you know I wouldn't want people just to always want to look at me for ulterior motives. I mean, I like, if there's something that you respect or something that that's cool to me. For instance, I love the knife community, and I know some people, some people have a lot of followers. I like Metal Complex. He's pretty down to earth. I like Neve's Knives. I like Jared. He's pretty down to earth. They're all different. They're all a different cup of tea, and I get something out of each one of them. Some of those guys, sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's not for me. Sometimes, yeah, it's for me. I enjoy all of them, and even Nick Shabazz. I honestly, for instance, because of Nick Shabazz, honestly, I have to tell you, I call this my shaman, not my shaman. I call it my shaman, and I've embraced that. I have intentionally every time I pull out this knife, it's my shaman. And so if that bothers some of you guys, just know that it's almost my homage, if you will, to Nick Shabazz. So there you go. Yeah, so I have a brother who's he owns quite a few medical clinics. He's a doctor and he's very successful. He lives a different life than I do. I love him to death, but he and I are in a different worlds, and that's okay. He's still a great guy. He really is. He's my brother, and I'm always going to love him. But he and I are two different worlds, and it gives me a glimpse of a world that I probably would never know. I used to go to church out in Arizona, and there was a lot of CEOs in that church, and so a lot of them were friends, and I didn't even know who they were. One of the guys was the CEO of U.S. Airways back then. I didn't know that, and I was like, oh, okay. So it was one of those sort of things that again, people I didn't know who they were, but it's nice to meet people who are just down to earth, even when they are like that. That's special, and I notice in leadership that's something that you see really great leaders who can be like that. My wife worked at Baylor Scott and White, and she used to run into the CEO in the elevator all the time. She managed like a few clinics there, and she would run into him, and this guy would know like every name of every maintenance person, people who cleaned up the place, people, every nurse. He would know them by name, say hello to them always, and he would talk to you like you were the doctor, that the neurosurgeon that was world renowned. Just really, really kind of a cool guy. Uh, and that's the kind of leader. Those are the kind of leaders you follow. They're not the kind of leaders that you have to be forced to obey, right? Those are leaders you follow. You want to follow. They lead and inspire you. I think that's just kind of where I see that. Yeah, Nick is. He is the the man. I'll just say that. I don't know what the algorithms are for YouTube with cussing, and I don't normally cuss, so I'm fine with people cussing. Just so you know, I could care less, honestly. Um, it's not what I do. I have kids, and I work in environments where sometimes it can be challenging if I do, but I also work in other environments. I work all different areas. I work from people who build, you know, submarines to people who work on highly advanced electronics and stuff, and so they're very different type of people. People with multiple PhDs to people with, who are very mechanically inclined and may never really use a computer, and their phone is the most advanced electronic item that they have ever owned in their life, which is fine. They're good at their craft. They're good at their trade, and there's a lot to be said about that. Matter of fact, some of the best custom knife makers, some of them are really good at their craft, and some of them are phenomenal. Like I think the what is it, FSD by Brown? I think it's Brian Brown Knives. Is that the guy, Brian Brown Knives? He's the one who's a former NASA engineer. So, anyways, yeah, I like Nick. Nick is a lot of fun. He cracks me up sometimes. Like his recent video on the Herman, the mini Stingray or Stinger, I think it is. Wow. Okay. There's the Dama Steel Whippersnapper, Rocky, and then there's that, So, those I feel like are in the same league with each other. They are, really nice. That's the kind of knife that I would love to get someday. I honestly would love to buy a Herman, and like this, if I bought a Herman, it would be probably not a Dama Steel, Timascus, Super whatever. I would carry it. It would be a knife that I would carry. It'd be a knife that I use. Now, like this one, I carry and use it, but I guarantee you there's a fifth pocket knife with me where I'm going anywhere. This is not the one that I'm going to be going out in the yard and cutting open the fertilizer bags with. I will use my fifth pocket knife, but I will open letters and envelopes. I will open a box. I will open, the plastic off the case of water when we have to open them up. No problem, especially with S90V steel. That's just really great steel. But you know, user doesn't mean that I'm going to go out there and get a hammer and I'm going to start banging it. No, I think that's everyone's free to do it if they want to, and you're welcome to do it. It's just not quite my cup of tea, right? You bought a TPO. What is a TPO? Oh, so Electric Buzz. So I have to ask, did you go to any of the Blade shows recently? And which one did you go to if you did? And what did you get? I always love to hear about people what they get because you can get crazy stuff there. Um, and I'll tell you, if I go to a Blade show, there is one knife that I have to get. It's my Bigfoot. If there's a ProTech Mordax, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. So if I go there, that's the one knife that I would go looking for. Just because it is more of a Bigfoot knife now that I feel like I have to get just because I have to get it, right. But it's not it's not as much as I wanted as I used to because I have some other alternatives now that I really like. But it is it is a knife that I just miss having in my collection. Yes, that is a bug out. Uh, that is the M390 with the aluminum, the airplane anodized or the I guess airplane grade aluminum milled scales. I really like that. Now it is steel inserts. I think is it steel inserts? Yeah. Okay, so it's just a steel insert to here, but the rest of this are scale. Now I had the Elite G10. I wasn't a super fan of it. Now, what I did with that knife, I bought that one originally and I was going to carry it, and then I gave it to my son as a graduation present when he graduated college. And I thought that was a great gift for him. And I also gave him a really nice wallet and some money in there. It's just, I felt like, when you graduate college, you should, I kind of feel like you should get a knife, you should get a really nice wallet, and you should have a little cash. That's just kind of a graduation present that every young man should get from their dad. Just kind of me. My wife gave him some other things, but that's what I gave him. But then I got this, and I really wasn't going to get another bug out, but I'd gotten rid of my Adamas. I really like the Adamas. Kind of wish I'd kept it. I might get that carbon fiber one if I can ever, you know, it's gotten so expensive now that getting the carbon fiber means I've either got to find a great sale on it or I don't know. But I do like the mini Adamas. But this is by far one of my favorites. And I will tell you, I think I got really fortunate. This is a really nice heat treated steel. This hones up really, really well. And it's the reason why it's in my collection. A lot of things, if I get it and the steel rolls and whatever all the time, you probably see it disappear from my collection. But if it hangs in here, that means it's either it's got some sentimental value to it, or it's really good. Oh, you went to Blade Show? Okay, so you spent too much. Oh, you met Andrew Demko. Now, I wanted to see that Timascus 80. Where is it? Do I have it? Yeah. He had a Timascus 80 20.5 that he did the Timascus scales for. It looked sick. It looked gorgeous. It was like $1,200 when it first came out. Man, I so wanted. It was so beautiful. Did you get to see that one? Did you get to see that blade? I was kind of curious. Is it as nice as I thought it was? Hey man, I would love to review. Is that the Mordax with the MagnaCut? Because that's the one I've been really wanting to review. Because I used to have the 20 CV. I had the drop version, and I sold it to my neighbor when he moved. And matter of fact, he just called me yesterday to see how I was doing and see if I was okay with because of the tornado and everything. And he said he still has the knife and he enjoys using it. He's the one that I sold it to because I thought I was going to get my hands on that MagnaCut replacement. But if yeah, I would. Oh, the time maskless were $900. Wow. There were only nine. Yeah, because I think Knife Center was selling them for $1,200, way more. Yeah, so I had the 20 CV. I love that one. The drop version is really great. I've kind of really would love to try their MagnaCut because the only MagnaCut I have is this one, and this is before they worked with Knife Steel Nerds and got their heat treat better. So I believe the MagnaCut treat on this one is going to be like at 61. It's not the 63, 64, 65 that they're now doing, and I really wanted to try that. I can tell you, it's very different because this hones up really fast. It's a nice edge, and it doesn't rust, but it hones up really fast, which I know means that it's a softer steel because on the McNees, this is 54, 64. And this took forever to strop out to get this edge crazy sharp. But once I got it crazy sharp, it stays. It's just super crazy. I would love to. I would love to get a hold of the Mordex with the MagnaCut version, only because of that. But I really appreciate you extending that to me. I just, to be straight up, I used to own the 20 CV, loved it, would still have it if it wasn't for my neighbor and me thinking I was going to get to replace it incorrectly, not realizing it would be the impossible knife to find. If I had known that, I would never have sold it, and I would still have it in my collection because I love that knife. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it, big time. Um, but I've had it, and you'll see some old videos. If you go back and look at some of my old videos, the audio is not so great. The camera work is not so great. The lighting is not great. Everything improves with hopefully as you get better. And I hope in a year from now, the videos that you see here will be even better. And you guys will enjoy it even more because I want to get better every time. Hey, NAF Sale official, welcome, welcome. By the way, if you guys didn't know, I have a link in my description. Not this description. I should put in my links in this description real quick. But there is a link to NAV Sale. If you link on that, I'm technically an affiliate sponsor by NAV Sale. If you click on that link, it helps the channel. But you can go check out some great knives. I've actually sold 8 knives on NAV Sale myself, and there's some great deals out there. I almost got that Mordax that was out there, but I think that one I missed it. It sold. There was a Mordax that was a MagnaCut, but there's definitely great deals out there. If you haven't checked out NAV Sale, it is. I know I'm sounding like a sponsor, but I really do like NAV Sale. I would say this to you guys, even if it wasn't for the fact that he was so graciously extended allow me to have a link to be, if you will, sort of a sponsored, affiliate by him. I would absolutely say that because if you're looking for a used knife, I would recommend that over Blade Forums or eBay or even Reddit. Honestly, it covers the shipping. The shipping is included with the price of your sale. If you want to pay for the shipping, you can, but he gets a great deal on the shipping. It's always way cheaper than I can pay for it. And you can upload the picture, and there's great communication, and it keeps it nice and sterile so that you're not having to deal with people who might not always be on the up and up. If you've ever sold or bought anything off of bladeforums.com, you know what I'm talking about. I still have an account over there. I still go looking over there once in a while, but if I sell something over there, I always get lowballed over there. So But definitely, I think you all should check out navsale.com. They are really, really great place. I know I sound like an advertisement, right? You know, I'm happy to do it because I would do that because I believe in them. So, you know, there you go. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Full disclosure, I do like them, and so there you go. Cool, 4 5-star reviews. I think I am I at. I think I got 6. There's a couple of people who never gave me reviews, which is a bummer. It always bums me out when I sell something and people don't do the reviews. You know, it's kind of a bummer because I'm more than happy to give them a review. I ask them when I sell it, would you just consider giving me a review? Because I always, I full disclosure, I give close-up shots, high definition. I say, hey, if you can't see it in the picture, let me know, message me. I will send you the picture at high resolution. So there you go. Yeah, you electric buds, you can find some great deals out there. I mean, you know, I have bought a few knives that I really enjoyed. I did a review on, and pretty much I bought so I could do a review on because I thought it's a really cool knife, but it's not a knife that's going to replace what's in my collection. So, you know, I used to say, full disclosure for you guys, I used to have well, I have a case that has 36 slots for 36 knives. And I said, that's it. That's all my knives, right? It's never going to do more than 36. Well, it used to be a little Benchmade sleeve that I was never going to do more than 12 knives, right? And then 36. Now I'm I'm at, where am I? I'm at 50, 60, 66 knives. So anyways, I need to probably sell a few. That's probably more than I should have. But there are some that I get in my collection and I really like, but then I don't carry. And if I don't carry, then they absolutely go up for sale. But there's some that will stay in my collection because I really, really like a lot. So for instance, I would carry this a whole lot more and use this a whole lot more, but I have so many other knives that I get to carry, and you guys don't always see me doing videos on this one because when I'm working in the yard, this is one of the knives that I'll bring out with me, especially if I'm cutting open dirt and I'm opening fertilizer, I'm opening, you know, weed and feed, I'm out there cutting some branches. This is a great knife for that, and so this is kind of a work knife for me. And it is a little more expensive work knife, but it's a very reliable work knife in the shock lock. So to me, it's great. Matter of fact, I sold my titanium version of this, of my 8020, on nav sale, by the way. That was one of my first nav sales, was my titanium. It had the textured one. I liked that one a lot. It was just so, it was the 3V version, and because I'm in Texas and it gets wet and sweaty here, the 3V I knew was going to be very rust. It wasn't going to be the greatest for me. A S35VN, I believe, is just a little bit better for what I need for what I'm doing. So, hey, would any of the moderators, maybe if you can find the link in one of my previous reviews, could you post that if you get a chance? Let me see if I can update this real quick. Yeah, I'm going to try to update this on the computer here. So if you see like I'm doing something, I am actually going to try to see if I can add it to the live stream that we have right now. I'm drunk and mobile. Welcome to Colorado. Oh yeah. Watering tomatoes. Hey, we just put together a garden out in the back, and we're going to be doing some tomatoes. I've been growing an avocado tree that we got from one of our avocados. I was about to plant it. It was growing so well, and I was about to put it in the backyard, and then that hailstorm just about killed it. All my trees have these giant cuts and nicks in them, and I'm talking like the bark ripped off because, you know, I told you the hail balls were like literally yay big, literally. We have one in the refrigerator that's about that big, and to give an equivalent, it would be about the size of a McNeese. Yeah, the width of a McNeese. That's what some of the hail balls were. So it destroyed like my front trees in my front yard. A bunch of branches are broken off, and the bark's been ripped into. And that poor little avocado tree. It was pretty good, and it just got a lot of damage. I'm just hoping it pulls through. I don't want to plant it yet. But speaking of that, yeah, bruschetta. I love bruschetta. You know what's really good with bruschetta too? Do you ever do the olive oil with the Italian spices in there with a little vinaigrette and oil and the oh my goodness, the black stuff. Wow, my wife is the chef in our family. I can grill just about anything. I don't normally do the Italian stuff, but it's the you dip it with the spices and it's the maybe you guys can remember. Oh, it killed your lime tree. Yep. Yeah, I'm worried about. I have two trees in the front yard, and they've got a 3 inch stocky base to them, and they were getting pretty tall and growing in pretty well. I actually been treating them for aphids because of they were just infesting this tree, and so I had to really treat it. But the damage I got to one of them, I don't know if it's going to recover. We'll see. We'll see. I'm worried that it's gonna not make it. Balsamic, yes, thank you, balsamic. Balsamic with some olive oil and the Italian spicing. You dip some of the bruschetta in there, and that's awesome. That's just phenomenal. I love that stuff. All right, let me see. I'm gonna go back over to the channel. I'm gonna add the stuff to it real quick, and I'll find the link while we're at it too. All right, here we are. I don't think anybody posted this yet, so I'm going to go ahead and post it. If you guys haven't had a chance, check out that. Just click on that NAF sale. That helps the channel. You know, but it's a way for also for them to know that you guys are checking it out because of via Rob's Nerdy Knives. So that would be awesome. So he knows that, you know, there's some traffic generated from you guys watching here and watching some of my content. I'm going to add all the links to the live stream details so that we can, if you want to go back to this live stream, you can click on all the various links that we have in there, including the nav sale. All right, it's there now, so if you go check it out. Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love that. I actually had a knife that was coming in today. I was hoping I was going to display it. You know, Boker has a new Urban Trapper, the large version, and it looked really cool. It's made by Riot, and I got the large version, and it was the Blade Ops exclusive. And as I got it, opened it, and it's all blacked out. The only thing about getting a blacked out knife, as you all know, if any of you guys who've had knives for a while, when you get all blacked out, especially if it's Cerakoted or PVD or maybe DLC, depends on how they coat it. That's why I like the black stone washed, right? Because that tends to make sure that the coating is not so thick that it's going to cause issues with like pivot screws staying locked in and pivot screws not loosening up. So I got it, and everything looked really great. It was nice and centered, and I'm flicking it, doing my video, and it started drifting. So I went in and I tightened it up, and it, you know, and I did it again, and it loosened up again. So then I decided on the video I was going to take the screw off, put a little Loctite on there, put it back on. And putting it back on, I always reverse thread my screws so I can find the thread. And then I screwed it in very gently, and it was threading in, and then all of a sudden it got really stuck. So, and it's not a captive pivot, so I had to get two screws, and I got it in there. And I couldn't turn it. As I'm turning it, it's turning, right? The screws themselves, my torque bits, these guys were literally ripping up the screw itself. Like, it would be like if I put this screw in here, right? As I'm turning it, literally you could see it all mesh up, and because it's all blacked out, it was tearing it up. And I couldn't tighten it all the way. And then as I'm doing it, and I'm trying to keep it, now I've done this hundreds of knives, so I know how to do this. It slipped and literally ripped right out. It literally stripped out the screw. And I was like, what? I've never had that. And it's a Riot knife. It's Riot made. And it was a titanium screw. I've never had that happen before. It was really, really, really weird. So I called him up. I'm sending it back, and I'm going to probably get another one. But I was really disappointed. And so it's one of the reasons why I typically won't get an all blacked out blade. Now, I did get the blacked out blade in the Wii one here, and also the Trogon, because both of these, one, if you know how, when you take these apart, you'll know a couple of things, right? This is Blackstone wash, but they also put a treat on there. and it's a high, I don't know what it is, but it's that high polished treat that you put on there, and it gives it a little extra smooth action on there. And I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but I will say, Neve's Knives, Jared, he reviewed them. He loves them. And now there's a different version. The one I got was a large one. There's a smaller version. It's more expensive. It's all titanium and it's not blacked out. That's the one I'm probably gonna maybe end up getting, I think, because that one's pretty nice. And it reminds me of a little bit of my, where is it? My little Enrique Pena trapper, right? It's kind of got that kind of, it's got the trapper blade with the little clip right there and everything. So, but I like that look. You know, kind of a small, friendly EDC, gentlemanly carry knife. I like having small EDC, friendly, gentlemanly carry knives like that. So, yeah, I'll put this over here. So don't let me discourage you from getting it. I'm just telling you, I had one bad experience, at least in the blacked out version. I think I'm going to, we'll see how Blade Ops send it back. I'm hoping I can get the full refund. I hope they don't give me any hard time about it. And if they do, I'm gonna, well, I assume they're gonna do the right thing, right? We'll just go with that. We'll wait and see. I've never had to return anything like that. I had to return a White Mountain Knives. Man, Justin over there, he's great. He is phenomenal. I had a arc form, dark form. Love that knife. It was really cool design, but the pivot screw, it was captive pivot. Let's see here. Do I have one that has a hidden? Yeah. So it was a hidden. Deep pocket carry clip, and it had two screws in the back, and it wasn't really mounted inside. It was like laying on top. And so as I was reviewing it, I looked inside and and you can see right here, I don't know if you can see that. You can see there's two screws. As I'm looking at, because I'm looking for the cutout, I see that it's missing a screw. I was like, what? And what would happen is if I carried this, it would have slipped. It would have just completely scraped it, and it would have ruined the, because it was all blacked out. It's arc form, dark form. It was all blacked out, completely blacked out, no marking. It was one of those cool ones. It would have been a real bummer, especially when you get a blackout like that. So he took it back. They didn't have any other versions that I could get. That was the only one that they had. The other ones were micarta, and I'm not a big micarta fan. I have a few things, but so yeah, there was that. So that's what happened there. Yeah, coating equals drag. Definitely. Sometimes the coating is cool because you can reverse flick, right? You can get a little extra traction on there. Like if you have this hollow ground and you're not sure if you can get in there, you can get a little traction on there, or at least like a stone washed or something. It gives you a little extra traction in a high polish. But it all depends on how heavily coated the blade is. For instance, here, this one again, it's not. I like the CJRB Pyrite. This is their limited edition, right? This is, again, I want to say it's like stone washed, because if I look at this blade, it looks like a stone washed sort of finish on here. It's not just straight blackout polished. If you see a PVD, it's more of a high polish, and that's what is it? A vapor deposition? What is it? Phosphor vapor deposition? I forget what it stands for. I used to know, but Cerakoted is the one that I'm not a big fan of. That's the one that always kind of gets me. So I don't know about you guys, if you guys have the same, if you run into the same thing as well or not. It is fairly smooth. Yeah, it's a hollowed out grind. It's a hollow grind. Hollowed. It's a holy grind. No, it's a hollow. And it sound like tri-state, right? Hollow be thy grind, right? Isn't that what he says? But anyways, it's a hollow grind on the blade, but I think it is. I think they call it a stone washed finished. And if you can see, it's not super smooth. It's like a very thin, but it's blacked out. But it has that. So if you get any sort of usage on there, it's going to blend in well. Kind of like when you get a stone wash finished knife, right? So I like that a lot. Yeah, I would absolutely review a discontinued, because when it comes to opportunities to review a knife, I look at it this way. I review stuff that I own and I purchase that I can get my hands on. These are things in my collection. And for instance, I reviewed this one. And I love this one. This is a great knife. You cannot get this anymore. The guy who made this knife, he's still around. I did find out, Bade Modern Designs, But this knife has not been reviewed, not been made. People would still like to get a hold of this because it's just a really elegant design. It works, functions really well. I've been offered money to buy this because it's, I know Lefty sold a couple of his. He had a couple of them, but he sold them because I think people just really wanted to give him more than they were worth. Or let me rephrase that. They were worth, they paid him more than he paid for him. And people have offered that for me. But I love this knife. It's one of my first ergonomically designed knives. First time I ever had a finger choil. So I review this. You can't get it, but I absolutely would. I reviewed this knife. So yeah, I would love to do that. I review, I would be happy to review anything that's out there just because of, it allows me, oh, the ZT 801, oh, yeah. So one of my first kick, what really kicked my knife was the ZT 562. You know, the carbon fiber one. I think the one almost everybody gets, right? It's like the first Rick Hinderer sort of looking design. Wow, that's cool. That is really cool. I would love to, yeah, that would be super awesome. Oh, that would be an honor. Yeah, I would be honored to review that. Yeah. So I mean, as a physical vapor deposition, thank you, me with knives. Yes, I. You know when you're talking, and your brain suddenly kind of doesn't function as well when you need to say something. I don't know. I get like that, especially when I'm doing presentations to board members and stuff like that. Sometimes you try to, you don't want to hiccup in front of those guys because they can slice and dice you up a lot, especially depending on what you're presenting. Oh, a Rex Ford design. That's cool. That is really cool. Wow. Yeah, I would be super honored to look at that. Matter of fact, now if you don't mind, I'm going to look it up because I I I've known a lot of the ZTs, but I want to see if this is one of those that I've seen, and I just, is it in a titanium version? Because it looks like there's a carbon fiber and another one here. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a really nice design. I love the swedge on top of that. So it's probably not exactly like this, but I just want to show everybody else. That is a really kind of a cool looking knife. To me, it's a sleek design. Some people are going to say, well, that's boring. I don't find that boring. When you execute something really well and the lines and everything come together well, there is beauty and I believe design, acuity, design genius in designing some of the most simplistic things. That's why I really like Ray Laconico designs. Some of his designs are phenomenal. I don't like all of his designs, but certainly love some of his. Oh, let me click on that link. Oh wow. So he's a. So did he? When you say Rexport design, did he like take the ZT801 and then like do something to it? Oh wow. I'm looking at some of those. Those are crazy. Wow. Oh, I like that Tonto shaped one. Anyways, that's really cool. Kind of a little bit like was it USA Made knives when he puts the Sasquatch on there? Isn't that what he does? Is sort of like a little, he kind of does a little something extra to the ZTs. You can get some of his special. It's not as elegant and it's not as fancy as obviously this gentleman here, because this gentleman's stuff is like a whole different caliber, but sounds like it. Oh wow, that's nice. Yeah, that's really cool. I like the speed holes. I guess that's what they call them, right? Is that officially the term, speed holes? I really like that. They're not so big that you feel like your fingers are going to slip in there and chop them off. There's a few knives I've seen that, and they make me a little nervous, like I'm going to maybe lose a finger if my finger slips in there. Like I really wanted to get the Sharp Eye design, the not the Mini Tempest or the Mini Evo. What was the one before that? Because I had the Mini Tempest, the front flipper. Does anybody remember the one in between? It was the not Evo Apex, the Apex I believe it was, the Apex. I wanted to get that, but that cutout was a little big, and the two colors that he offered were just not. quite my cup of tea. I wished I could get a custom scale put in that. I think that would have been cool. Oh, he's a custom maker. Oh, friend. That's really cool. It's always cool when you have a friend like that. That's nice. The growler mash. Oh, you know, I missed a growler mash, and I think, was it you, Beefer Baron, that sent me the link for it? I didn't get to it fast enough, and boom, it was gone. Yeah, I was really bummed about that. And that's not the first time I've tried to get a hold of that mash. That 14C28N, that combo with the titanium handles, and the price really works. I had I don't know if you remember the PMP Big Boy. I actually had that knife, and I got it off of Metal Complex. He was doing a knife sale and loved it. But the price of that knife with the 14C28N was really, really high compared, to other knives. Now that mash, man, Lefty and the whole Devo knives, those guys, they really got a good price point on that one. I like it. Do you have one? Did you get one of those, Beefer Baron? Did you get one in that you've been having a chance to carry? Oh, you talking about the big boy? Or are you talking to Beefer Baron? If you're talking to me, the Olamic, there's not a whole lot of things that I can compare. I will tell you that what gets close is going to be probably this. Again, I think right now, this is like the steal deal because South Africa, the exchange rate is really favorable to the US right now, and you can get this knife for like 450, maybe 500. And then if you wanted any of the inserts, then you're getting the 6, 7, 800 to up to 1,000 for it. But and it's really beautiful stuff they do. But this is a steal of a knife for what you get. And that compares as far as quality and craftsmanship and action and smoothness. Now, I want to get a McNeese frame lock. I've held one at a knife show, at a gun show that I went to. I've not been to a knife show, but a gun show. The frame lock, the action, when I felt it, was similar to what you feel on here. But again, you're looking at a $500, $600, $700 knife, right? So I mean, obviously, you would expect some quality coming out of that. Do I have a list of knives that I'd like to review? I will have to think about that. Honestly, I'm honored to even be asked that question. But yeah, there are some knives I wouldn't mind reviewing. There's knives that I'm definitely interested in that I probably wouldn't necessarily add to my collection because everything you see here, right? I add things to my collection because I want it. Now, this is a borrow. This is a loan, obviously, just excellent loan. But it's one of those loans that I might eventually go hunting for it eventually to add it to my collection. Who knows? But I just this opened the whole door of some of the Spydercan, the Tai Ching designs. But yeah, there are some ones that So I would love to review like the Manix 2. I would love to review some of the Devo knives. Yeah, I could put a list together. Believe it or not, I haven't really tried the Spyderco Manix 2. That's one I would very much like to try. There are some of the other Protex that I would like to try. I've held a few, but not all of them. I would love to. Yeah, I definitely would have some other ones that I could go think about. Something maybe I haven't owned or something like that. Yeah. Hello, Tactical Terry. Welcome. We're just talking knives, man. We're just having a good old time chatting here. Boy, I got real Texas there, didn't I? Well, I am from Texas, so that's okay. But welcome. How are you tonight? And what have you been carrying this weekend or today? One thing I wanted to run by you guys. Some people have asked me and emailed me and even messaged me about this, and I don't want to do this because I'd only do this. Honestly, okay, so I'm getting around it. Somebody asked, do I have a Patreon account? And I have not done anything like that. Now I support Patreon for other knife people, but I haven't done anything like that. But I was thinking, because I've been asked, should I do something like that? Now, I don't want anybody to ever feel like pressured that they should do that. It doesn't matter. You're not my interaction conversations with you guys is not going to change as far as that's concerned. I don't feel like that should, right? But at the same time, if people think that would be cool, and if you like the idea of maybe, you know, a Patreon account and maybe some special content or some ideas, I was thinking of doing some cool stickers, right? So I thought of I I had of a kind of an idea of levels of nerdy knives, right? So you could have like a intern nerdy knives, a nerdy knives intern. You could have a nerdy knives enthusiast, maybe a nerdy knives, um, a mega nerdy knives or something like that, which would be AKA the nerdiest of nerdy knives or something. I thought that would be kind of a fun little tier thing if people thought that might be something you could possibly want to do. I don't want to do it because I feel like I'm not gonna, I don't want to beg. I do this because I enjoy this, and I'm gonna keep doing it. And yeah, I would be cool, for the channel to get enough hours in where it can get monetized, because then it could help pay for some more things we can do, and awesome things we can do for the channel. I mean, NAF's Knives giving me a sponsor link, and other affiliates. I think it's going to get there eventually. It's a small channel. We're growing, and I would love to do that. Okay, absolutely. So I'm about ready to do the review, and then I'll ship this right back to you. I haven't gotten my stickers that I ordered from Zug Monster yet, so you may get one of the legacy stickers uh, if they don't come in before I get a chance to send that back to you, if that's okay, Rocky. But if you're going to send me another knife, then you're obviously going to get a chance to get some of those other stickers. But yeah, I would be honored. Oh, you gave your Mannix to an S110V. That's a really nice steel. That's a slicer. Man, you could really cut some things with that. Yeah, Spyderco. And that's something about Spyderco. If you guys, oh wait, you carried a Mint M4 Native 5. Wow. All right, and a TI Ohio Jack River sheep's foot. Okay, cool, cool. I've never handled an I can't talk. Ohio Jack River. I've heard a lot about them, but I've never handled one of those. That's interesting. Yeah, I know. What? Never a Mannix 2? I'm sorry. I've been interested in it, but every time I see the Mannix 2, it's they are they are like the XL, and they're huge. And I don't mind big knives. I have a few big knives, but I'm not a mega knife guy. I like the 7 to 8 inch kind of a knife realm. To me, that's comfortable. I can do some of the smaller ones, a little under 7 inches, if you can, especially if you can choke up on like that. So this to me works out really nicely for a knife. This is just right under 7 inches, right? So that works out well for me. I like that kind of stuff, just like on the on the high fin as well. But the Mannix 2XL always seemed it was really big. So, but a regular Mannix 2 I really would love to try out. Oh, the purple one, is that the one in crew wear? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So when you can, the choke up, if you notice, it is nice and clear. It is not one of these where you're going to come up and cut yourself if you move around a little bit. You are clear. When you go in there and you tighten up on this thing, you are clear of that. And I got meaty fingers. Okay, I don't have little thin fingers. So if anybody has, normal fingers, mine are meaty fingers. I'll just say meaty fingers because they are wide. You will have no problems whatsoever. And even for meaty fingers, no problems whatsoever. And the jimping on here, this is really functional jimping, and it's not aggressive and uncomfortable jimping. It is really elegant, and it's I don't know if you can see, it's done really well. So yeah, but that fits real. And then this cutout, when you need to do a push cut or a precision cut, so I can come up here and I can do a really nice, it's really great. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed, look at even the polishing that's done on the finger choil. Normally you don't find, and that right there, that's where the blade stop is. It hits right in there. You can see that blade stop. So that line wasn't there when I first got it. That's just me closing the knife, right? But even this is polished. Just a lot of little things that work out nicely. Yeah, I could talk about that knife for way too long. Oh yeah, yeah. So watch this. Easy index finger flip. Because the full flat grind all the way up, it's easy to get your finger right in here, right? You can easily get it right there. Well, let me do it correctly. You can easily flick it like that. And I can easily do it, oops, do it correctly, left-handed as well. So there you go. And then you do the finger flip. Yeah, Rocky was saying something about, was telling me, he goes, you know, you can easily do that finger flip, you get that. And as soon as I got it, I did it. And I was like, oh, I thought I discovered something new. And then I discovered that, no, anybody who has a whippersnapper, apparently this is a thing that you gravitate toward, and it becomes a very much a desired way to flip the knife. So, am I right in saying that, Rocky? Yeah, so S110V, just like 90, S90V, that's a much harder steel to sharpen. There's no question about that. It's gonna be a challenging. You know, LMAX S35VN much easier, obviously, but yeah, that along with Vanix, Vanix Super Clean is going to be a bit of a challenge. Like this is LMAX, I believe, right? Yeah, this LMAX, which is more like M390 and 20CV. It's not quite the same, but it's like a really nice version of 154 CM. That's definitely a step up. So yeah, is that now my best front flipper? You know, yeah. I mean, it's. I tell you, I still really. Oh, let's see if I can find it. Where are you? There you are. Nope. There it is. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. This was my best front flipper for a while, and I still like this one. This is the Vanix Super Clean, the S Tau. I mean, this is just one of those ridiculous values for a knife. You know, for the money you get on this, for $270 for getting Vanix Super Clean, beautiful sheep's foot blade here and everything. I guess this is technically a sheep's foot, right? Because it is rounded. And just the ergonomics are really, really great. I'm getting their clip. They actually came out with a true titanium clip, but this was my favorite. But yeah, this is by far definitely taking the number one spot. There's no question, no question at all. And as it's breaking in, the action just gets even nicer. It keeps getting smoother and smoother. So yeah, definitely my favorite. Yeah, the pulsar is ridiculous too. I did put in the tighter springs. Did you all do that as well? If you have the pulsar, I think the tighter springs make a huge difference. Everything works good. So, do you, Dave? Do you have a whippersnapper too yourself? And I will say, do you see how well they did that ball? That's almost equivalent. That's kind of reminiscent of like how Riot does, you know, some of their balls. Like this is the Leon Ma GSD, right? And when I'd heard negative things about that ball, right? I put this one in pocket. This is the most amazing. This slides in and out of the pocket so well. Really a nice one. But I will say the ball on here on this is really nice. It goes in very easily. Now you'll see a little here. Sorry, I have a little part of my jeans on here because the jeans I'm wearing today are ones that were destroyed from my Chris Reeve Umnumzon before I had it bead blasted. I had a sand blasted Chris Reeve Umnumzon that I sold a while ago, but it did destroy 3 of my jeans, and so my pockets are shredded. And every once in a while, you get a little piece from that. And that Chris Reeve Umnumzon, if you get one, just make sure. I recommend you get the glass bead blasted. Now, if you like the really super grippy texture of that, go for it. Because if you're in a workplace and you need something to really grip on very solidly and not slip out of your hand, then the sand blasted is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, the Tau is no slouch for sure. Yeah, I would recommend putting in the higher tension Omega springs. It makes a big difference, especially on the action. You actually get a better resistance when you flick it open because the other ones were kind of soft when it opens. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can show you when you close it. It's a little more stout when it closes. Come on. You see that? I don't know if you can. Let me see if you can. See if you can hear the audio too. Can you hear that? I mean, it's definitely Definitely a lot firmer, and it gives you more resistance when you open it. I really like that. Now, it's not terrible taking it apart. You just got to make sure you know how to line these up when you're doing it, and that's the only thing. But I have a whole video on me doing it. If you're interested, you want to see the experience of doing it, you can see my experience. There was no video out doing this yet. No one had done it, so I took the first stab. At least I hadn't seen a video yet. Maybe somebody had a video, but I couldn't find it. But I know since then other people have done videos, but you know, I can be the guy who bumbled along the first time. Oh, so Dave, which whippersnapper do you have in your collection? I know, I know which one Rocky has. Now, there's another knife. You know, is there another knife in Olamic Customs that is as good and smooth as that whippersnapper bolster lock version 2? Are they all like that? Because I've heard the version 1 is not quite as smooth as this. This is like if you're gonna get the whippersnapper, until they do something with the version 1, this is by far the best version to get of the whippersnapper. But I was wondering, are any of the other variants, any of the other versions that they have, are they as smooth like this? Just kind of curious. For those of you guys who have looked at them or maybe owned them. Well, welcome. I see there's a whole bunch of people that joined, so welcome. We're just talking knives. For those of you guys who just joined, feel free to jump in. Hey, love to hear what you guys have carried either this weekend or today. Sensor, welcome. Welcome. Hey, now you're fine. We're just chatting, talking knives. I mean, we're going to be on here for a couple hours, a few hours. You know, just talking away, and love to talk about anything that comes up with you. I've just been sharing some things we've talked about here, and okay, so this is the best. Yeah, so that's what I wondered, because this reminds me of, well, this reminds, the closest thing I can think of is this, because until this one, I hadn't felt action that was this buttery smooth, because this literally, there is no friction. It's the smoothest shut. It literally feels like it's on butter, on glass, on butter with Teflon, with nothing there. I mean, it just feels like perfect, right? It's the closest thing that I can feel. It even feels better than any skiff washers that I can put in a knife that makes it amazing. And mind you, this is amazing as well. It really is. And this is buttery smooth, there's no doubt. But it just has a step above, right? Just a step above. Likewise with the whippersnapper. There's something you just feel that's just so buttery smooth that you just, I don't know, it's just hard to put my finger on it, if you will. The Artisan Tradition, large, and the mini grip tilling. All right, in D2. Oh, in D2, nice, nice. You know what? What started my whole collection was my mini Barrage I bought at Cabela's. It was the orange version, and it was in D2. I love that knife. I gave it to my son. He still has it. It's a great hunting knife. Didn't know anything back then. I thought D2 was the fanciest steel I've ever bought, because I used my knife before that was a CRKT, Columbia River knife technology. I believe that's, people call it cricket, but that was AUS 6A steel, which I thought was really fancy because it's made in Japan, right? Well, no, it's not that great. AUS 10A is much better, obviously, and 14C28N is even better than that as far as budget steels. But D2 is a pretty good steel, especially now. Is it the CPM D2? Matter of fact, I was kind of curious, because I don't know if all of the Benchmades use CPM D2 or if it's just D2 ingot. Because the CPM is the powder version, and my understanding, the CPM D2 is a much better version of D2 than just regular D2. So Dave, you have the jewel bolsters, the jewel zirconium scales, the bronze Rocky textured backspacer. Oh, so you did the Rocky backspacer on there. That's cool. Wow. Now, do you carry and use your whippersnapper, or is it a safe queen? Because like this one right here, if I get gotten all that, I would be tempted to make it a safe queen. But me, at least where I'm at in my journey right now, I like to carry everything I own. It doesn't mean I'm going to beat it up, but I like to carry it. Right now, I may carry it more to church, to work, doing more dressy things. This might be more of a date knife than a beater knife, right? This is definitely I would say that. This is definitely I would say it's a user knife. It's not. It is a little more expensive, right? So this is definitely a date knife, a dressy knife for sure. I like this one a lot. But again, you could with the Dama steel. I always feel like that. Okay, so they switched to CPM D2 last fall. So you still, yeah, my mini barrage I believe was just a regular D2. Still, I thought it was the greatest knife that I ever had it until then. And then I think after that, that's when I got the bug out after that. And then I got one of their automatics because that one was assisted. The mini barrage is assisted. Then I got what did I get? I got the I can't even remember all those knives now. It's so long ago. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of different ones I had. And then that's all I had was just all Benchmade. I was like one of these, Benchmade, Benchmade, Benchmade. I think it happens to everybody in their knife journey. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys have not had the experience, but I'm curious. How many of you had that experience where you started off with your Kershaw, your CRKT, maybe your Gerber, and then you got a really nice knife like a Benchmade or a Spyderco or a ZT or one of those knives, and then once you got into those, you got all the Spydercos, or then you got all the Benchmades, and then you got all the, ZTs or what have you. I think some of us probably have been there. I know I did. I started off with all the Benchmades, and Benchmade was it. And then I got a ZT 562, the carbon fiber one, and then I was like, oh, they're nice knives besides Benchmade, and then that's kind of opened the door. It was like my gateway knife, if you will. Oh, so did you order it directly from Olamic, or did you order it from DLT or somewhere else like that? Because it looks like Rocky had seen that one. Oh, you want to do a custom backspacer? Yeah, I've seen some of the ones they do. They are crazy. Some of the things you can do, but if you get a Herman, if you get a Koenig, you get any of those other ones. I mean, there are a lot of folks who will do crazy, crazy stuff like that. Um, the original Freak, yep. Was it the mini or the full the Freak the full version? And did you get that one in the M3 or M4 or whatever, or 3V or whatever I think it had the M4 steel. I think it was. So that backspace, I'm having three different conversations. So if you're all following here, so the backspacer, is it like looked like rocks on there? Is it? I guess it would be kind of similar to this carbon fiber. See how they do this? I don't know if you can see that texture. I call this meteorite carbon fiber because it's very textured. It's really cool, and I've not seen this a lot on anywhere else. That's one of the reasons why I really like this. And the carbon fiber inlay here is just phenomenal. But is it sort of like that kind of rocky look? Probably a little more jagged, more like a what is it? Oh, wow. My brain. I've been coding all day today, so I'll be straight up with you guys. I want to say Meredith, but that's not it. It's the Starts with an M. The knife maker, they're always releasing a ton of stuff. He's USA made knife maker. Starts with an M. You guys will probably know before I can finish. Yeah, it was the M. The Super Freak was an M4. Okay. Oh, really? You had a defective scale. I will tell you, this scale is insane. When you look at it at first from this angle, you think this is going to be pitted. And what I mean by pitted is like my shaman. This is a Rips Garage technology. If you look at this, it's really beautiful, but you can see a bunch of little micro, little pitted areas, which is not unusual for fat carbon, right? You normally get that, and this is Rips Garage technology scales that I got put on a Blade Ops LMAX exclusive, right? But so I always kind of expect that fat carbon might be a little bit like that. Now Riot did this one here, and this one was perfect. There's no pits in this inlay. It was really phenomenal. Well, this one was it's like, I don't know, it's like really polished. There's nothing in there. It feels like it's almost filled in, if you will, but it's done so nicely. I'm really impressed with it. I have to say, when you look at this in the sun, it's probably the nicest fat carbon fiber material I have on any knife at all. I mean, it's that good. So, Medford, thank you, Medford. That's what it was. Voids, yeah, definitely voids, pitted, whatever you want to call it, right? It's almost typical. Almost all carbon fiber is going to have voids. I mean, I suspect if we looked on here enough with a with a up close microscope or something, I'm sure there's some voids on here somewhere. I mean, this one's really good. Yeah, there's like a small micro void there, but this one's really, really good. But that's typical of carbon fiber, right? Oh, okay. That makes sense. A mammoth tooth. Well, that's these guys use mammoth tooths and all that as well. So that's interesting. I wonder if they've ever had those same issues. The Arnaud Bernards, they do that a lot in their knives. But I'm glad to hear that they took it back and they fixed it for you. That's the quality of what they make here. It seems like that would be really important to them, and that's good to hear. Oh, is that the link for your? Oh, wow. Yeah, so the link that Rocky posted is that I guess the Rocky backspacer. That's really cool. And I suspect that's all hand done too. I don't think that's machined. I bet that's hand milled. I bet that's all hand milled when you do stuff like that. That's real because it's so uniquely shaped. There's no pattern in that texture, so it's got to be hand done. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, those are definitely some. You can look at this, and this quality and all this stuff is great, but you can take this to a whole different level. I mean, it's just like, you can get a knife like this, and it can be, you know, $300, but then you put on some Damasteel, and then you're getting close to the $500 range, just because that is not your traditional Damascus. And if you guys don't know, some of you guys who are not familiar with Damasteel, some of you may know this, maybe you all know this, but if you don't know, for those of you who might not know, Damasteel is a variant made by Bowler. No, is it Bowler? No, it's not Bowler. Okay, those of you guys who know who makes this, it's not Bowler. I believe it's somebody else. They the properties of this steel, it's actually supposed to be as good, if not better, than 154 cm, which means that it's a very usable steel. It's got good edge retention. It's got some corrosion resistance. It's not perfectly corrosion resistant, like MagnaCut or Vanek Super Clean or something like that. But it also has it's relatively easy to sharpen, and it retains a pretty good edge. So it's good steel. It's really good steel, while it still has this beautiful polished properties of this wonderful patterns after they acid wash it for the etching. So it's just one of those things that it not only looks pretty, but it works. You can use it. That's the point. It's a blade that looks pretty and can actually be used for cutting, and has performance properties as well. Yeah, Do you have an Instagram or something like that, Dave? Maybe we could link your Instagram or something. That would be cool. Oh, an S90V. Now they've had some limited drops of the S90V, not S90V, but the Griptilian with the Spidey hole. I don't know if it's technically a Spidey hole because I don't know how does Benchmade get around that? Because doesn't Spyderco sue everybody with the Spidey hole? Did they have some sort of collab with Spyderco at some point maybe, and that's why they got away with it? I'm just kind of curious. I don't know if anybody knows the history. I always wondered about that. I don't know enough about that one, but it always makes me wonder how they can have that, perfect hole on their knife and not have Spyderco come after them. I was always curious about that. Yeah, and the thing about the Instagram is I got Instagram only for knives. That's what I do. I block everything else and I just do knives, right? I'm on there for mainly knives. I mean, I will give Instagram credit. They try to throw everything else at you, but mainly I like to watch the knives. I get to see all the new stuff and the cool knife designers that are out there. Okay. So the link that Rocky just posted is about Domesteel. It's a really neat little link. Talks about the story of Domesteel. Oh, okay, this is great. Yeah. That's basically right on their website. And I believe if I've been here before yet, there's a link at the top that has the patterns. They have all their different patterns. And some of their patterns are a lot more expensive than others. So if you've ever heard of Chad Nichols, he does. Am I saying that right? Is it Chad? Chad. I'm wow. It's Damascus. Chad Nichols. Oh, I'm totally messed up. What is the guy? Chad Damascus. Chad Nicholson. Nick. Oh man, come on. Some of you guys help me out here. I am struggling tonight. My brain is totally in coding mode, and I've been working all day, putting a massive configuration together for like 20,000 people. So it's still, yeah, Chad Nichols Damascus. Now he does custom Damascus, like some of the really high end Protects. You get one of these, and it's got some really fancy Protec Damascus on here, and it is the Chad Nichols Damascus. Like all the William Henry knives, that's I think he uses primarily, but he does some ridiculous designs as well. He has like the teardrop ones, but if you go to that link that he talks about the patterns, some of those patterns are just they're insane. They really are. I think on your whippersnapper is your design, is it close to the sparse twist or the super dense twist? Is that what would be kind of close to the design that's on your whippersnapper, Rocky? Oh, okay. So he made the Damascus with a tank. Okay, that's interesting. Is it good Damascus though? I mean, I don't know. What's the steel on the tank? I mean, is it like 440 type of steel, or is it tool steel? Tool grade steel. It's the Azure or twist. Okay. See if I can find that on there. Wow, there's just some really amazing designs out there. It's ridiculous some of the things that they do. Wow. Odin's Eye is really cool, by the way. I like that one a lot. Okay, yeah, that's it. The sparse twist, that one is really cool. I like that one. Yeah. Anyways, cool. So everybody else who's just joined, welcome. What have you guys been carrying? What new knives have you acquired, or what new knives are you about to acquire, or what new knives are you hunting for? I was kind of curious. What's on your radar? I can tell you, I know I'm on the hunt. there's two knives that I'm kind of on the hunt. I'm always on the hunt, yes, for a Mordax. You all know that. But I'm also, the Mordax and MagnaCut, by the way, just so you know, the new one. But the other one I'm always on the hunt for is the Magnese Mag 2 3.5 in frame lock. Now, I hear he's coming out with some Tonto blade versions. I'd love to get one of those hollow grind and Tonto, but I would just take any of those. That's one of them. But the other one is I am very seriously wanting to get that new Exciton or the, is it Magnetron? I think it's called Magnetron, Megatron. Wee knives. Those look really cool. And Wee knives, those higher end versions, those limited sprint runs, I know they're a little higher, but they have been knocking it out of the park. They are good. I don't know what they're doing. They are good. And I made a mention about this. I actually got that knife I won, the Wee Sakshi that I'm going to be dyeing. The cage ceramic ball bearings on that are significantly better than the ones that I got on the original Sakshi that I bought a couple years ago. Their quality is going up. Now, they're more expensive, and you would hope to see better quality for the price, right? It's there. I think it's worth it. Some things are worth it because I like the design. Really comes back to your aesthetic. What do you like? You may not like those designs. Like, I really wanted to try the Ziphius. I had a chance to get a Ziphius. It came out, and I almost had a chance to look at one, and I was really tempted. And it's just not my cup of tea, that Warney design. It's a cool knife. I get it was Texas Knife Blade Show. It won the Texas Blade Show knife folder, button lock award, but the aesthetic is just not my cup of tea, right? And so I've learned a long time ago, as much and hyped up as a knife is, don't buy it if it's not your cup of tea. You will be convincing yourself the entire time you own it that you should like it. And at some point, you're finally going to become honest with yourself. You'll either not like it and sell it. You'll just, acknowledge that you probably will never like it, but you'll own it because it's a cool knife you acquired. Or, hopefully you won't believe the lie, Or your tastes have changed, and maybe you will you have come to like it. That can happen too, honestly. I didn't used to like the Para 3 or the Paramilitary 2, the Spyderco's. I didn't like them. I thought they were ugly. And then you get one of those in your hand and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I can see that. So, could be that. They trademarked a round hole. How can you trademark a round hole? That just seems... That's like trademarking a thumb stud. I mean, the Axis lock, you could trade lock. I mean, you developed it, right? The Shark lock is definitely... I mean, we all know we're paying a little extra for the Shark lock, but I'll tell you, I like it a lot that I'm willing to do it. I do think when the patent runs out at some point, or he starts to make more of these at other places, this is going to be significantly cheaper, no questions. But until then, it's still a great knife. I like it. Should it be cheaper? Probably, yeah. No, just like the OTFs, like I like Microtex. They're kind of cool looking, but I just don't want to buy them because of the weird shapes and everything. And then I got the Guardian Tactical, love that. But then I got a hold of this, the Livewire. I have one OTF in my collection, and it's this one. And it is the perfect size, comfort, fit, ergonomics. Everything I like about this is the type of OTF that I would carry and use, and I have, and I do carry this, and I do use this. I like the blade shape. I can use it. I can cut with. It has a little pokey when I need to get into cat food, dog food, because that's really what I do. And it doesn't hurt that it's 20 CV and heat treated really well, by the way. So, but I don't have a ton of OTFs. I don't carry a ton of OTFs. One OTF and I'm good. Just like STFs, side opening automatics, right? I have this one. This was an anniversary present for my wife, so I'm not ever going to get rid of it, but I love it. But I will say, I didn't think I would like it, and I got this one, and I'm like, okay, but I'm good now. As far as button locks, I don't think I would acquire another one for my collection. There are some other designs that I think are cool looking, but I'm happy with that. There's way too many other knives I'd want to try first, or at least bring into my collection. Now, if I had a chance to try it out and not buy it, yeah. So like if a knife distributor were to, let me borrow it and review it, or somebody were to be kind enough to share a knife, I'd be more than happy to try it. There's just certain amounts of knives that I would acquire for my collection. So no, I didn't put I didn't put I did not put a titanium pocket clip on that. It came with it. This is the limited edition pyrite, titanium scales, black micarta inlay, S35 VN blade steel. They only made, how many did they make? They made 60 of these, and this is 51 of 60. And the only way you're going to get another one is if they make another limited edition. They had the all blacked out version, and they had the polished steel version. And so I was able to get one of these. I wanted the steel version, the non-blacked out, but this is all they had, and I got it. I was really happy to get hold of it. And it's the CJRB pyrite, all the goodness of it, but with the artisan cutlery accoutrements. It's really nice. So, but this is the clip that came with it standard with this one, just in case you're curious. Okay, and the Rex 45, cool. All right, I'm catching up on the thing. Benchmade 942 with a gear. Okay, oh. So you have, is that one, sorry, is that one of the gold class ones, the Benchmade 942, when you say in the gear, is that the Damasteel gear pattern? I'm assuming it's one of the gold class, or did you make it a custom? You can get the titanium clip, by the way, on the pyrite, by the way. If you want that, they do sell those. And if you if you're curious, there is a link. I have an affiliate link for Artisan Cutlery. If you buy it there, you buy the pyrite there. You can also buy it with the clip. You can upgrade the clip, and you get a discount on the clip by buying them together. So if you're curious, if they're in stock, I thought they were out of stock, but I know they're trying to make more. So. Yeah, so the Axis lock just went public. Now you see a lot. I mean, you have the Able lock, which is the Hogue version of the Axis lock. You have a whole bunch of other ones. They call this one, oh, what they call this one? They call this Loctite? No, I forget. They had a unique name for it. I'd have to look it up. But there's all variants of that. Hey, what's the point, EDC? Welcome. Appreciate you joining. It is always better late than never. Absolutely, 100%. Let's see here. 160 for a D2 G10. Now, is it G10 or is it FRN? So I will say 160 for a D2 G10 AD20. Now, is it AD20 or AD20.5? There's a big difference. The AD20 is usually a USA made, and that would be hard to find, right? But the AD20.5 in D2 is the first one that came out. It has the smaller screw. It's not this big old pivot that you see here. It's a much smaller screw, and if that's the version, that's the FRN scales. They're not G10. And 160, I mean, if that's with tax included, that's not bad. Typically, you can get that online for $149. If you get the blacked out version, $160 is about the price. So if it's a blacked out blade, $160 is about the price. Yeah, that's about definitely the one. Oh, the Wii Xiton. Yeah, the Wii Xiton drop point version of the Xiphius. That's the one I really would like to take a look at. Yeah, that's the one I'm hoping to find. Yeah, for the 80, the right Rocky 8020, that would be a heck of a price. $160 for an 8020. Typically, those runs start off at $450 for the basic version, all the way up to $600 when you start. And if you get into the titanium, you can go $600, $700, $800. That is one of my grail knives too. Is an 8020. Be honest with you, I would love to get an 8020, not an 8020.5, but a true 8020. That's the USA made by Andrew Demko into USA. Heck of a knife. That's one that I wouldn't mind getting. It's a much bigger, much more robust knife. So if you like big knives, the 8020 would definitely be one. And the 8020.5 is about perfect for my hand size. If I go to 8020, that is a big knife. And the only reason why it hasn't been higher on my list is just because it's such a big knife, and I don't want to get something that's going to be gigantic. I can tell you, I've handled the 3-inch version of this. It's too small. The 3.5, this, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And you can get an extra large, probably even 2 extra large hands in there, because you can choke up on that and you can definitely get some extra room in there. And I got meaty fingers, so I'm large because of my meaty fingers. So I'm just saying. Let's see here. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, Beaver Baron. Thank you. Standard price for the 80/20.5 D2 steel. If it's not the blacked out version, it's about $10 higher than you can get online, and you can go to places where you get no tax and free shipping. Matter of fact, if you get just the D2 version and you go to White Mountain Knives, and I know it's a shameless plug here, but I have a code. It's a shameless plug because it saves you money, okay? So if you use RNK10, that's Rob's Nerdy Knives 10, RNK10 at White Mountain Knives, there's a link in the description for this live stream. You go to White Mountain Knives, use that, you get 10% off. Now, you can't get the 10% off the S35 VN, the higher end version, the titanium version, but you can, I believe, I remember on the 160 version, you can get 10% off of those. Try it out. I think it would work on the FRN versions. That's equivalent to what you're looking at. So it'd be even less than 150. Check that out. It might be worth, and I believe if it's over 100, it's free shipping and there's no tax, depending on where you're at. You might have no tax as well. Uh-oh. All right, I think I'm back. Sorry for the little disconnect there. We've got some lag going on. I'm going to have to restart that router next time we do a live stream. Hopefully you can hear me now. All right, can you all hear me? Okay, good. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I have 2 sons, 2 twin boys who play video games, and they're each on different gaming systems. And then we have like 4 TVs that stream, and then we have like 4 or 5 cell phones that stream, and then people have their iPads that stream, and of course I'm doing a live stream. So it sounds like I need to get into the router and do some QoC, quality of service, or QoS settings for this stream to make sure I allocate some bandwidth just for this so that it's not all taken up by my sons and their games. So sorry about that, guys. Oh, now it just bumped out again. Come on. Can you guys hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. It looks like it's connected and it's sharing, but I'm not seeing the feed on when I'm looking at the YouTube channel. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear. I know, right? You can hear me, but you can't see it. Okay, all right. So let me see if I can refresh my connection. Can you guys see it yet? Can you hear me at least? It's showing my camera is showing that it's sending a video feed, and it looks like it's sending the video feed, but when I look on YouTube, it doesn't show that it's connected. So let me know when you can see it again. You can hear me, but you can't see it yet. Now I see the video feed coming through, so I don't know if you guys can see that yet. I'm hoping you can. It's kind of there, huh? All right, let me see if I need to try to go over to the iPad, see if that works a little bit better. All right, can you guys see it now? It's still not a great connection. Man, that is not a great feed coming through, is it? My goodness. All right. All right, so I'm going to move my hand over here. I'm going to flip a knife here, see if that's if you can see that yet. Is it still pretty fuzzy? It looks like it's fuzzy to me. Quit mining the Bitcoin. Yeah, I would need quite a few more servers than that to really do some serious mining there. There are people who spend a whole lot of money on a whole server farm for that. Yeah. All right, that looks actually really clear. That looks like it's the clearest it's been. Is that the clearest it's been all night? Because my iPad shows really, really good clarity right now. Is that is that is that is that the same for you guys? Because that looks like it. That's actually like the best signal I've seen yet. This is the whippersnapper, if you guys didn't know. Okay, good. I'm glad it finally looks good. All right, so it looks like I shut down my laptop. I'm thinking my laptop was hogging all the bandwidth or something. So I shut that down. So let's see how that goes. I'll just use my iPad for that. That's the Olamic Custom Whippersnapper, Olamic Custom Knives. And you can see that right there. There's the Olamic. Let's see if I can get the focus on there. Make sure we can see that. Olamic Custom. And it's the Whippersnapper, which this particular one is in let's see if I can get that focused, S90V steel. And that's the part number right there. So this one I bought at DLT Trading. It wasn't directly from Olamic. You can actually do all sorts of custom ordering directly from them. Two of the guys, Dave and Rocky, both have ordered from them. Well, I think Dave had. I think Rocky wants to order a custom backspacer. You can do all sorts of stuff on this one. This is a very plain Jane version, if you will. And mind you, for Olamic, this is what they consider plain Jane. For me, I consider this really nice because this is the carbon infused fat carbon scales with no voids, none. I checked. There's no voids. It's one of the best fat carbon scales I've ever seen. Even tops anything I've seen from Re-Up. And this S90V, even though I believe we were telling me that they get this from Italy. When I was honing this blade, because it's S90V, which is a much harder steel to sharpen, not as hard as S110V, but still pretty hard to sharpen. It took me quite a while to really get that edge in, just like it did for the Magna Cut. Was actually, this one here was hardened to 64, and that took me a really long time to hone that, to get it to what I like to have as crazy sharp. I like crazy sharp on my blades. I like to be able to whittle a hair. I know that sounds crazy, but if I'm going to cut something, I want it sharp. And I always believe in the phrase, a dull knife is an unsafe knife. The safest knife is a sharp knife, because you know what it's going to do. All right, so I'm catching up on all the comments here because we were having a little lag issue here. What? You got a pawn shop version of the Whippersnap for $200? What's the point, EDC? Did I understand that correctly? You got a pawn shop Whippersnapper for $200. Let me know if that's what you did, because that is incredibly insane and awesome. You remind me of my friend Bill. My friend Bill, he'd go somewhere and he would just find stuff. We were going to go play golf, and he had the most horrible golf clubs. When I used to play before I had kids, when you have kids, you run out of money. You can't play golf because golf is really expensive. And obviously, I have another hobby now that's probably more expensive than golf, but I like this more than golf. So, anyways, he wanted some clubs. We went to a pawn shop, Goodwill. He found a set of ping clubs, and they were nice ping clubs. They were like only a year and a half old. He got them for $50. When I went and looked at them, even brand new, those clubs were like $800 to $1,000, and this was like 20 years ago. So yeah, if you got that whippersnapper for $200, I am just blown away. You got a Medford for $200 too? Where is this pawn shop? I need to go to this pawn shop. Yes, this is my Pena. This is my trapper, my little trapper. I was almost at one point going to get rid of this one, but I carried this at my son's wedding, and I didn't want to, but I couldn't hone the edge really well. And it's one of the few edges that I finally had to reprofile the edge. It had a very short edge. It was like at a, I want to say 30-degree angle on the edge. So I put this one down to a 20-degree angle. I think maybe it's 18-degree angle, but it's much thinner because it's not super thin. It comes down to it's a flat grind, right? But it's not a super thin grind. So a longer edge makes this a better slicer. And since doing that, I'm super happy with this knife again. It cuts like I want it to. There's nothing more frustrating when you have a nice knife and you want to do some basic cuts and it doesn't do the basic cuts. To me, it's like then the knife fails me. It could even be a cheap knife. If you can't fail me when I need it to cut. It's got to cut, and that, I could see a Rob's rambling on that whole thing because that's a pet peeve of mine. It needs to cut when I want it to cut. I'm still blown away that you got that whippersnapper. So real quick, what's the point EDC? How was your whipper? What you said it was Dama steel, and did you say it was jeweled up and everything as well? Yeah. So the Pena, there's a Texas size version, and then there's a regular Pena. And if you like this, um, if you go to Crane's Cutlery, you can get this in the Dama steel version. So now this is like about 270, right? But if you get the Dama steel version, I mean it's like 435, but it's really nice. And you can get the Texas Trapper. It's a bigger blade. This is about, I want to say, let's see what this is. This is probably about 2.5 inches of cutting edge, maybe 2.6, 2.7 inches of cutting edge. And the overall knife length of this is about 6.5 inches. And the handle is going to, you probably have a 3.5 inches of handle. So medium to medium large hands. I think, I can get a full hand on here. You can choke up a little bit, so you could probably do extra large, hands on here on this one. But that, you're getting close to the double extra large. You're going to be a 3 finger with this one. But the Texas Trapper is a much larger knife. It's over 7.25 or 7.5 inches, and the blade I believe is 3.25 inches. And you get Dama steel if you wanted that, Rocky. Really, really nice one if you want to check that out. If you like Dama steel as far as a carry. I don't know anything about a Bark River Gameskeeper. Is that a fixed blade? I don't know. Is because I'm not. That's not one I've heard of before. Uh, it sounds like wherever you go to this pawn shops, you've got some crazy nice knives there. I feel like that's like a little treasure trove of knives. You might want to keep that secret and just go buy anything that shows up. Okay, so it had Timascus, but then it had CTA. Okay, that's really nice steel. Yeah, CTX XHP is good steel. I think. I mean, I believe if I remember correctly, that is like a very high-end version of 154. We're getting up to like the RWL 34 type of steel, right? It is. I mean, it's not quite M390, but it is. It's one of those blade steels for like custom knife makers. They really like because it's really easy to work with. They can do a lot with it. It can polish as well. It doesn't tear up all their bits and their when they need to grind or mill their steel. It works really well. So it's one of those nice, and it holds up fairly well, and it keeps a good edge, I think. Yeah, I know a lot of people. XHP is one of their favorite steels. I like XHP. I remember the Tactile Knife Company. Their first rock walls when they first came out, they were all in CTX XHP. That's before they went into the MagnaCut, and I liked it. I had the regular flipper. Yeah, it's a fixed blade. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Sounds like a really good deal. Yeah. Oh, a Techno 2 in XHP? Really? That's really nice. Usually those, if I remember correctly, the Techno 2s, that's a Spyderco Techno 2, those usually run like 235 to 250, right? If I'm not mistaken, if I'm thinking of the right knife. Yeah, it's a stainless version of the D2. Yeah, that's what I think it's kind of comparable to the RWL 34 if I remember my steels correctly. I mean, it starts to get kind of you almost have to be a Laren Thomas, right? Knife steel nerd. You almost have to really know all the ins and outs and the palladium and the chromium and the carbon and all that stuff, and that gets. I like to look at that as a spreadsheet because I don't actually process and do metallurgy. I don't do that myself. It's not something that I have gotten totally into. I get into it as far as the steels that I'm looking to buy. And I would be very comfortable buying XHP. I'd be very comfortable buying, CPM D2. That's a really nice version of CPM. I mean, of D2. D2 is it's a budget steel, but that usually means the knife better be really, really cheap for that, because that's really a good budget steel to me is 14C28N, Nitro V, something like that. Yeah. Uh, D2, I mean, there's nothing wrong with D2. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a difference between CPM D2 and then regular D2. D2 is ingot steel, so it's forged and it's flattened out and stuff. Where CPM is a powdered metal, powdered steel, which means that it's going to have better composition in the metal structure, right? And that means it's going to be a stronger steel. It's going to be less brittle. It's going to have better properties, and that's why CPM D2 has better properties. Now, when you get into 154 cm and CPM 154 cm, they are really close. There's not a whole lot of difference. There's some, but there's not a whole lot of difference. That's where you don't get as much benefit. Yeah. And again, RWL 34, just like XHP, is another steel that, custom knife makers or mid-tech knife makers like to work with because it's real easy for them to deal with. It's very easy for them to work with it on their machines. It doesn't tear them up. Like MagnaCut, when they first got it, the reason why they really like it is because it had that property as well. When people work with S110V, or if they work with Vanix Super Clean, or they work with S90V, all of those steels are much harder, more difficult to work with, and you really have to have the tooling and to work with that, I think. Yeah, I think the Spidey Techno 2, I think Urban EDC had some special releases of that looked really cool. So, and of course, the Urban EDC specials, those are going to be kind of fancy, right? Probably have their Sagai pattern on some of them, and or just something really fancy on those. Oh yeah, 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 Dama Steel. Yep. Yeah, so K110 is the bowler version of D2, right? So it's their very specific bowler version of D2. Composition wise, it's supposed to be identical. Now, I will tell you that Bowler will tell you that it's a little bit better. I mean, there may be some truth to it. I don't know. But I will say that I would, Bowler K110, I would definitely be more inclined to use over, just a regular ingot D2 that was made over in China. And D2 in China could still be regular D2, but there's something to be said about a reputable steel manufacturer like Crucible or Bowler or um, CTS. What is CTS? Why am I not remembering it? You guys can help me out here with CTS, what that stands for. Oh, my brain is not. It's struggling this evening, guys. I'm still in coding. If you guys didn't know it, today I've been coding all day long. So that's what I've been. I'm still getting out of that mode here as we were talking. Carpenter, yes, thank you. Carpenter steel, yes. Ah, it's there on the top of my. Hey, Bruce Farmer, welcome. We are just chatting, talking knives, man. So welcome to the conversation. We've been talking about what people have been carrying, what they carried this weekend, what they've been carrying today. We've been talking about different knives, different steel compositions. It's been it's kind of a free for all, you know. Any new hunts, any new cool knives people are on the lookout for. All right, yeah. Hey, Rocky, thanks for joining tonight. Sure appreciate it. You guys go spend some time with your kids. I'm probably gonna have to wrap it up here in a little bit as well. We're gonna maybe we'll hang around for maybe 10 or 15 more minutes, and then I got to wrap it up, right? And because I got to go back to work, believe it or not. Yeah, I've got a presentation I got to be ready for tomorrow. But Rocky, thanks for joining. Bruce, we'll hang out for a little bit. Got any? Bruce. I was thinking about you. What was it? There was a knife that I was looking at. What was it? What was it? What was it? That I thought you would really enjoy. Yes, the Manix. So like we were talking about the Manix 2, and I don't know if you've tried the Manix 2 XL. That's a much larger knife. I think you might enjoy that. That's a really cool one. Because I know you like some of the knives, but you're looking for something that has a little more presentation for you. You know, that might be something that'd be kind of cool to check out. There was also another knife I thought we talked about. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll try to remember. But I remember when we were talking about it, I was thinking, yeah, that would be a really cool knife that I think maybe you might be interested in. All right, thank you, Rocky. Thank you, Rocky. I appreciate that. All right. Yeah, if player move is less than 0 or greater than 2, print bad input. You fail. That's like the ID10 error. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the ID10 error. Here, let me type it in. It's I. If you've already heard it, you probably know it. So if you haven't heard of that, I've done the ID10 error myself. So what does it look like? It's the idiot error. So it's a IT kind of version of, oops, I did an idiot error. So that's the way we say, okay, I was an idiot. So if you ever hear that, you'll know what that means. You got the Manix 2? All right. Did you get the Manix 2 XL? Oh, you're looking for the Alacran. So the Alacran, I did talk to Javi Garcia, and you can talk to him on Instagram, by the way, if you follow him. He does a lot of custom stuff, but he did tell me when I bought the Alacran last that he said that it's supposed to be coming out in May or June, and at the different knife retailers. The early release that he had, a few months ago, or several months ago, that was the early release, but he is going to be coming out with they're going to be doing it at the retailers. Now, I don't know what variants they're going to have over there, but that's what he last said. So I'm hoping they're still in line for a May or June date for that. Oh, Spidey, you talking about the Spidey 27 steel? The Spyderco specific Spidey 27 steel version? Is that the one you're talking about? Because I know they have variants of their steel, and their steel is some of them are pretty good. Some of them I would put as a higher end budget steel, and I think a Spidey 27 is definitely going to be up there. Yeah, exactly. I would agree with you. Me with knives, I would say it's probably an S30. Yeah, it's really close to that. It's a slight variant of that, but it's I think the idea is it's supposed to be a little more corrosion resistant, if I'm not mistaken, or was it more? It's supposed to be a little edge retention. I forget the cobalt. Cobalt adds, well, it all depends on how you add the cobalt, right? Because MagnaCut really doesn't follow all the rules exactly because of the nitrogen gas that they infused in there. That kind of changes the whole game. But traditionally, I think the cobalt, now that I think about it, is probably supposed to bring more edge retention, right? It's supposed to be a little sharper, retain the edge a little better, right? Is that, I think, what's the Spidey 27 supposed to do, if I remember correctly. You guys can all correct me. I am not the expert on steels here, but I think that's the case. Yeah, it is stainless. You know, just like the S35VN, S45VN, they're all stainless. Now, S45VN is going to be much more stainless. I mean, supposed to have more corrosion resistance, right, than over the S35VN, but it does lose some of the edge retention, where S35VN is supposed to be a little tougher and supposed to hold the edge a little bit better over the S30V. Yeah, exactly. Me with knives. I agree with you. I think that's what I was trying to say. Probably didn't say it exactly, but that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, May or June. That's what Javi said to me last. I can go back and look at his message to see if that's still the case. I'll see if he'll actually reply to me again. I mean, he's gotten very popular with his work he's done with Enrique Pena, because I believe he was an understudy, like an apprentice of him, but he's got a unique aesthetic that I really like. It's a unique aesthetic that's very, I don't know, it has a flow to it, if you will. It's almost like it's the best I can describe it. It's a flow to Javi Garcia, and he did in you can kind of see it here with the Pena. I mean, and it's a slight touches. You can see the flow with the carbon inlay. You can see the flow with the access to the thumb stud. Even the clip has a slight flow to it, even though it's still very structured. I mean, it still has the hard edges on here, but when you go to the blade, it's almost like a Tonto blade, but it's not. And it still has that flow to it. Of course, I use my knives, so they're all dirty. But I don't know. I like it. Just really kind of cool. Yeah. So definitely, I think he said June or July. So that's what I like Javi's aesthetic. Yeah, and that's why the S35VN. That's why I got why I ended up getting the 8020 at 20.5 in the S35VN over the 3V. One, because the titanium textured grips were ripping up my pants just like my Chris Reeve Ubnums on. But two, I wanted something that had a little more corrosion resistant, and so that's why I was really happy to get that. I agree with you. Me with knives. It's a good point. Yeah. So SEY 27 definitely is. It's one of those kind of cool steels. It's unique. It's proprietary for Spyderco, kind of like the ARRP M9 from Artisan Cutlery, which is, I would equate it to like a little nicer version of D2. Probably almost wannabe 14C28N, but not quite. Oh, the new Spartan K bar. Brandon Sutton, welcome. We are just talking knives. Appreciate you joining. We've had a few people that have already signed off and needed to go spend some time with their kids, but appreciate you joining. Thank you. We're just talking knives, just kind of chit chatting about what have you been carrying and what knives are you on the hunt for? What's piqued your interest lately? I'm always on the hunt for my Bigfoot knife. You probably all know it's my Mordax in MagnaCut. One of these days, I will find it. Probably be somewhere in the woods, in Tennessee, somewhere out. I'll get a picture of it, and then it'll just disappear on me. No, I'm just kidding. But I know it's out there. It's just one day I'm going to find it. The other one I'm really, really, really want to get is I want to get the new McNeese frame lock. I love this auto so much. This is my favorite auto, honestly. I like the OTF. I like the ProTech, no question. But this, But then I'd also want to check out the new Wii knives, the Exciton and the Magnetron, I believe. Those are the two coming out. Really would like to check those out. Yeah, yeah. The ZT when they're doing when if you don't heat treat some steel well, I mean, it could really, really ruin it. Well, it's kind of like, isn't that kind of what's happening right now with S45VN? Some of the people that are using S45VN are really not heat treating that well, and it's really kind of like pointless. You'd be better off using S35VN if you're not going to heat treat that well. Likewise, like MagnaCut, I know there's a lot of people not happy with Hinderer right now because Hinderer is their highest Rockwell hardness. They're going to go is 61 on that one at best. Burkles Karaoke, welcome, welcome, and hello and good evening. Yeah, we're just talking knives. We're just chit chatting. Join in. We're talking about what you carried this week. What you carried this weekend? What are you in the hunt for? Anything new and interesting you've been looking for? Any questions? You've got a bunch of orders coming in from Blade HQ, Microtech SOCOM Elite, nice. ZT223, that's cool. Yeah, the Dagger Vendetta in anodized titanium blue lightning. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of like the Protec, what they did with their little, what's it called, the Godfather version that they have. That I think that's what you're talking about, right? It's that blue lightning kind of a, um, um, I want to say, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of the blade. You're probably talking about the handles, so I'm not thinking of the same. Is it like a Burple, like the Burple where it's blue and purple at the same time, or is it just straight up blue? That's cool. Cerakoted, yeah. So it's Cerakoted. Okay, that's cool. The ZT223. I tell you, I've had a few really nice CTs that I've enjoyed. There's a few that I still want to get again, but one of the things I've kind of that I like the 562 that I had. The only thing that bummed me about it, speaking of heat treat, that blade scratched up so fast, so easily because it was not heat treated well, and it would strop really, really fast. But the edge would roll so fast because it was so soft, and so it kind of it's one of those knives that looked really cool, but it was very frustrating, right? Likewise, I feel like that about some other ones. I would like for them to fix that. So I think I'm guessing I had a bad one because everyone else's 562 has been great. So maybe I need to reconsider that at some point. So I think that would be cool. Yeah, the M390 situation. I agree. I mean, it's really unfortunate when people heat treat at 59. It's almost like the 20 CV. We for a while you were lucky to get 58. And that wasn't even the black coated ones, right? You know, I might get a 59 when it's black coated. When you do DLC or PVD on there, I get that can change some of the annealing processes of the heat treat. I get that, but you know, you should hit 61 when it comes to M390. You should never not hit the at least the 61 when it comes to that. I think that's just my humble opinion on that. It's kind of like with the MagnaCut. It wasn't until Laren Thomas came out and he talked about 64 is what you should be hitting, 64 to 65. That MagnaCut, for it to be really worth its while, that's what you want to hit. And a lot of the manufacturers, they wanted it lower because it was easier to work with, but it just didn't give you all the properties of MagnaCut that you wanted it to give you. That's why I like Hogue. Hogue's heat treat is really good. This is a 20 CV, so I know I'm probably going to get at least 61 on this. Typically, Hogue's really nailing it. Oh, sorry, Hogue. Kershaw. This is Kershaw. So you know what? I don't know. I don't know if they nailed it. Now that I think about it, it is Kai USA, and that is ZT. So maybe, I don't know. I need to use this knife more to see if this really holds up, now that I think about it. Yeah, We Knives was an MGM. I believe it was also any of the Italian knife makers were notorious for really low heat treats. I mean, we're talking like 57, 56. Yeah, on the M390s. I think there's been a lot of pushback on that, and so they're getting it up to the 59 to the 60 at least. So you're not seeing I think you're hitting more at the 60, which is okay. It's not great, it's okay. But you would want no less than 60 ever on the M390. I would agree with that at least. Because, I mean, quite frankly, if you get M390 and the heat treat is really bad, you might as well just put S30 on there, or you might just put 14C28N. I mean, if you're not going to take advantage of the steel structure with the annealing, it's kind of pointless, right? Yeah, I wonder. As I said that, I was thinking about that because I thought, oh yeah, this is Hogan. I remembered that's not Hogan. This is Kershaw, which is Kai, which owns ZT, and I wonder if their 20 CV is heat treated well. And I really should probably test this a little bit more and do some more cutting with this, and then see how well it hones up on the edge. Because, I mean, I'm not scientific in my testing. I'll be straight up, just so you know. My testing is more of just a feel. I'll use it. My edge will start to dull a little bit, and then I'll strop it. And if it strops up really, really fast and loses the edge really fast, that usually tells me it's kind of soft, right? Is it soft? Is it so soft that I can't use it? I've had a few that have been like that, and then I don't want them. But then I've had a few where, yeah, it's a little soft, but it's still usable. It's not terrible. But then I've had some that have just been dynamite. So I've had some Wii's that have been really bangers. Like this one's been really well for me. You can see I've already scuffed it up and everything, but this one's been holding up the edge really well. This Fair and Forge design, the Mini Malice, really surprised on how well that's retained the edge and doesn't lose the edge. And then it's a little more challenging to strop, but it still strops. But when you strop, it's going to retain it. And I always know that. I always know that with the with ZT with Spyderco. Spyderco's always their stuff is just pretty great. Hey, you heading out, Mind and Milton? Is it time for? Is it that time? Appreciate you joining. Thanks for stopping in. If you're leaving, if I'm reading that correctly. Oh no, you're just saying hello. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying goodbye. Trying to catch up with all the IMs here as I'm talking. You're back. That's what it was. Okay, so you're saying hello because he came back. Dinner is done. Gotcha. All right. Well, welcome back, Mind to Milton. Awesome. I just caught that up. Yeah. It's a good question. Definitely, I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Now I want to carry this a little bit and try that out a little bit more and see how well it holds up. Because I hadn't really thought about that because I haven't used this knife as much like that. But that does make me wonder. So what's a mini mouse? Welcome, Lonnie. I don't know what a mini mouse is. Is that a type of knife that I don't know about? Burkles, welcome. How are you doing tonight? Oh, wait, I said hello to you earlier because you were the Cerakote, and I think I said it correctly. Burkles Cerakote. You got a knife done. Okay. Did you send it off for some custom work? Oh, the Malice, the Mini Malice. Yes, I get you. Mini Mouse, Mini Malice. Okay, I caught you now. I see what you're saying. The Mini Mouse, the Mini Malice. It is small. There's no doubt. I mean, if you use the finger choil, it's really nice. It works as a finger choil knife. As long as you don't have super meaty fingers, then you get a little close. And my fingers work okay on this one. When I use the full four-finger grip, you're going to be large hands is about as much as you're going to do. I'm almost over, and I have medium to medium large hands. Mine are large widthwise, so I'm right there. Extra large, you're definitely going to be close to three fingering this one. So, but with that finger choil, it works really nice. It is. This is my compensation for my Mordax I couldn't find. So this is my Fair and Forge, you know, compensatory knife, if you will, until I can find a Mordex. Oh, sorry, you can see my cord there dropped. It's my microphone. So who has a 14C? Did you get one of those? Is the like the Spyderco's that came out? Did you get one of the in the 14C? I hear that's like ridiculously super tough steel. I get the impression that it's kind of like the Japanese sword fighters who goes to slice somebody else's sword and it cuts the other sword in half. Yeah, the stone wash, it really is. I will admit, I typically don't get blue, but this blue really works, and in the sun it really looks a whole lot better. It really does. The sun really would do it a little more justice. Let me see if the flashlight can kind of give it a little bit of justice. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I don't know. Sun, it looks a lot better. Oh, 15V. You were talking about 14C28N. Okay, I got you. Just thought you were talking about 15V. Yeah, I like 14C28N. That Nitro and what are my three favorite budget steels? I would say, well, 14C28 is really probably the best bang for the buck, I think, right now that's out there. Some people would say S30V should be a budget steel, but hey, if you heat treat as well as Spyderco does, you can make S30V steel really, really nice. I agree. It is definitely the king of current budget steels. Nitro V is okay, does a good job. ARRP M9 is not bad. It's a good cost-effective alternative. CJRB offers some great prices with that particular steel, so that's what makes it competitive. Certainly is better than D2. What's another great budget steel that I can think of? 14C28 Nitro V are the two that I really like the most. I think I'm missing one. I can't think of what another one is. All right, time for bed. Well, hey, have a great night. It's going to be close. We'll probably wrap up here in about 5 minutes as well for myself, so I appreciate it. For just for the last, as everyone maybe is getting ready to wrap up, what is the one knife that you're going to be looking for this week or this month? What's your grail, or what's the knife you're on the hunt for, or what's the knife you've already found and you're just waiting for it to come in? Yeah, hey, thanks for joining. What's the point, EDC? Appreciate it, man. Right, it hasn't gone overseas. That's a good point. You want to get the 80/20. Is that the 80/20 or the 80/20.5? Because I would like to get an 80/20. It's a big knife, though. I think. Oh, that's the one I was thinking about. Matter of fact, um, for see here, who was it? Yeah, Bruce Farmer. If you're still here, and it's expensive, but the 80/20 is definitely a knife that I think you would find that would be very comfortable for your hands. The 80/20.5 fits my hands well with the choke. It's got a lot of room, but the 80/20, it's a USA made one. You're looking at $450, maybe more, depending on what it has. But that one is a nice, big, hefty knife. I think you would really, really enjoy that, because I know you like the larger knives, and man, that would be great. Maybe you can find a used one or something. But I was thinking about that. That would be something you would, I think, might appreciate, maybe. The Quiet Carry Drift. I had one of those. That's a nice knife. I do like that. It's a great saltwater knife. The steel that they use, I think it's used Vanek Super Clean, if I remember correctly. Thank you again. What's your point? Appreciate that. Good night, Frank. The Quiet Carry Drift, I think, is really nice. Now, did you want the one that's with the G10? you want the smooth titanium or do you want the textured the titanium? I think the textured titanium, boy, say that 10 times quickly, is really the one I think would be the best to carry or get because of you want it slipping if you're using it in salt water. I think that would be the best. Now, I will say I like quiet carry a lot. I really do. And one of my favorite quiet carries that I have right now is the 9. I love this one. But when I had the drift, it was a little small for me, and I didn't carry it. Well, that wasn't really small. I didn't carry it a lot. And my rule is if I don't carry it a lot, I'm not gonna keep it in my collection. And it was one of those knives that I liked. I liked the idea of it, and I liked carrying it. And it was cool, but I didn't carry it a lot. And because I didn't carry it a lot, I eventually sold it because there was some other knives I wanted to get. But I had the one that wasn't textured. And I think I might have changed my mind if I had had the textured one. I think that's going to make a big difference. Hey, thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. You have a great night, and hopefully we'll talk to you sometime in the near future. You got the AD20? All right. And is it a good fit for you? Do you feel like that's a knife that you can get a great presentation in? I bet. I was curious. Well, if you haven't checked out, if you're still there, I would love to know that. If you have already left, no worries. I'll have to ask you another time. But I think that would be, I was curious if that would be a great fitting knife because that just seems like a really robust, strong knife. And one, especially if you have larger hands, that would be fit really well. So, but yeah, I do like the quiet carry a lot. I think if I was doing a lot of saltwater work, if I was in the ocean, if I was on boating, if I was around a lake a lot, if I was anywhere where there's a lot of water, the quiet carry drift is really outstanding. But I would certainly get it with like you said, I would definitely get it with the knurled titanium, preferably. I really think that makes a difference. If you don't, it's slippery. And I had it without it. I liked it. I think now I think about it more and more. I think about why I didn't carry it. It was when I did carry it, it would be slippery, and I didn't care for that. And I can tell you, having one of the quiet carries with just simple texturing like this makes a world of difference. It really does. It really does. And I think you would really, I think you should go for that. Just my suggestion. It's up to you. It's obviously whatever you want. I can tell you from my experience, it wasn't. Oh, the Olamic Wayfarer. You got the 9-inch one. That is a nice knife. That's a big knife. I looked at that and I thought it was a little big, just like getting one of those really big Hermans, right? I got the little whippersnapper and the small one, but you can choke up really nicely, and so this is a great small EDC. I think this is probably too small for you, but I think the Wayfarer is probably going to fit you really well. I bet you're enjoying that one. Did you get one from DLT or did you custom order it? Did you get any fanciness on it? I got the basic version here, but I like it. To me, it has everything I really want. All right, gentlemen, if it's about 10 o'clock, so we're gonna probably sign off here. I think we're down to the last few of us, so I appreciate you guys who hung out. Thank you. You guys have a great evening. Appreciate the show. It's been a blast. I will say thank you for joining, and we'll try to do this next week. Maybe next week I'll have a giveaway, so we'll try to get that going. But thank you guys. You guys have a great evening. And to that, I will give you all, oops, let me do that again. I'll give you a knife salute with the index finger salute, which I love to do with this knife. So you guys have a great night. Oh, let me do that again so you can see in the camera. Good night. Thank you again. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.